Zhuo Fan's enemies thought a wounded servant could be trapped, tested, and discarded. Instead, every ambush is becoming fuel, every wound is sharpening his patience, and every mistake his enemies make is teaching them why a fallen demon should never be underestimated. Subscribe now if you want the full revenge path, because Zhuo Fan's weakest body may still carry the most terrifying soul in the Empire. In The Demonic Emperor Part 3, the struggle moves deeper into the shadows. Brutal trials, hidden powers, and deadly spiritual beasts close around him, but every time the world tries to break Zhuo Fan, it only gives him another reason to become stronger. Capital were the darkest corners of the empire. Seedy, good, devious, and all other kinds of people mixed in here, along with the down shacks painted a perfectly wretched image. Any self-respecting man who had some money on the side would never choose to live here. Only those living from one day to the next and the truly poor stayed here, waiting for the day that would rob them of their lives. Yet in the worst corner of the slums was a courtyard the people feared to the point of being afraid to step through its doors. Even if the vilest and most sinister man was to wander by happenstance here, he would be warned to leave this house be. This courtyard was unoccupied, but at night there were eerie whispers coming from it. Some braved to investigate, but it was as if their traces in this world vanished the moment they stepped foot inside. Recently, some bone tempering and even a profound heaven expert charged in, fearing no evil. Afterwards, well, there was no news. They were gone all the same. From that moment, the courtyard became a taboo, avoided by the strong and weak alike. On a full moon night, when the slums had turned unusually quiet, the people had gone home earlier and as far away from the demonic courtyard as possible. But it was then that a faint lantern lit up in the courtyard. It was akin to ghost fire, flickering on and off. In a ruined room of the courtyard, an elderly with white temples sat in a pleased manner on a tutor's chair, waving a goose-feathered fan. His half-lidded eyes flashed here and there, and his mouth was twisted at the corners. It was as if the world's suffering and happiness were beneath him. Two old men stood behind, one with black hair and the other with white hair. Their eyes were closed, but their powerful auras identified them as experts, preventing any living creature from approaching 100 meters around them. Even a harmless beetle would find its tiny heart reeked with fear. Whoosh. A sound broke the silence, and a black-clothed man suddenly appeared outside the room. He had a bamboo hat that hid his features. The sitting old man stopped fanning and smiled. "Valley Lord Yu, how is it progressing?" The bamboo-wearing man was Hell Valley's Valley Lord, Yuanshan. Sighing, Yuanshan shook his head. A dozen years of painstaking effort was ruined. The emperor ordered for Hell Valley to stay away from Windgaze City. The same goes for the other houses. He must have sensed something. Oh, the old man raised an eyebrow with a smile. The emperor is planning on enacting the secret pearl order? My guess is yes. Yuanshan's face grew angry. They got luck on their side last time, but next time it won't be so simple. Emperor wants to raise the 8th house, but we shall see if the clan can live to see that day. Ha ha ha, Valley Lord Yu, ease your anger. A loss is a loss. Why make excuses? The old man was still calm, yet his words were sharp and filled with disdain. Hell Valley is one of the 7 noble houses, yet it can't even deal with 3 common clans. The time of its fall must be close at hand. Yuanshan snapped, his power exploding. Peak profound heaven cultivation smashed the windows to splinters. He unleashed all of it to pressure the old man. Zhuge Changfeng, you were the one who told me of the contents of the secret pearl order. It was also you who said the emperor wants to help in the rise of the 8th house. The dozen years plan also came from you. So how can you speak like this? Yuanshan bellowed, go to hell. The smile never left the old man's face, still sitting calmly and fanning slowly. Boom, just when the pressure was drawing near Zhuge Changfeng, the black and white elders behind him opened their eyes. At that moment, one's eyes flashed black while the other's flashed white. A ripple echoed outwards and clashed with Yuanshan's display of power, creating a jarring sound. The entire slums shook. Yuanshan felt a sweetness in his throat and spat blood as his face paled. The 2 elders closed their eyes again, while Zhuge Changfeng swayed the fan like nothing had happened, still sporting that ever-present smile. Yuanshan watched the black and white elders incredulously. Yin-yang elders, Zhuge Changfeng nodded. Valley Lord Yu sure is knowledgeable. These seniors haven't shown up over the past century. I find it amazing that you still recognize them. Grinding his teeth in anger, Yuanshan panted while also spitting blood now and then, but the look he had when he turned to the elders was now one of fear. You are worthy of being Tanyu's #1 sage, 4 pillars' leader, Prime Minister Zhuge. To be able to make these monsters leave their mountain, not even that Fang Qi you buy from the divine dragons can compare to you. Ha ha ha, Valley Lord Yu is exaggerating. I am not worthy of such a title. I do not dare face the imperial family in the open just yet. Zhuge Changfeng let out a short laugh, but the confidence he exuded was unshakable. Yuanshan snorted and muttered, Prime Minister Zhuge is as modest as he is arrogant. Who in the Tianyu Empire can match your power? Not even the imperial family can. Sigh, I can see why you failed in Wingay City. In this world, strength and weakness aren't obvious at a glance. Zhuge Chengfeng sighed as he looked at the sky. Furthermore, I am not the #1 sage in Tianyu. If not you, then who? That person above me. Zhuge Chengfeng pointed upward with a grave expression. Yuanshan disdained, You're talking about that senile emperor. Senile, Zhuge Chengfeng chuckled. I've been a prime minister in the imperial court for 40 years now and I still can't read him. Valley Lord, you go back. Make sure to not cause any further trouble. Zhuge Chengfeng swayed his fan as his countenance went back to normal. Be careful to not give that old man the perfect chance to remove you for good. Humph, the imperial family's power is hardly enough to deal with my Hell Valley. Yuanshan grinned, but when he saw the cold look in Zhuge Chengfeng's eye, he didn't continue. He just cupped his hands and vanished in the night. After Yuanshan left, Zhuge Chengfeng took a deep breath and looked to the heavens. Your Majesty, what is your plan? What is the secret Pearl Order? 3 months later, in the misty forest at the foot of Blackwind Mountain. Zhuo Fan stood near a frigid blood pool, holding a gourd. His hands performed signs and red dots flew from the pool into the gourd. A smile tugged at Zhuo Fan's face as he watched the wiggling red dots. This blood pond was something Zhuo Fan made to raise the frigid pool snow worm, though its name should more aptly be frigid pool bloodworm. Zhuo Fan used a secret art from the 9 Serenities' secret records to train this particular demonic creature. So it not only retained the parasitic ability of the frigid pool snow worm, but it also connected to Zhuo Fan through telepathy. It could now work in tandem with him in performing a secret and evil magic art from the 9 Serenities' secret records, the Blood Curse. The Blood Curse was a demonic cultivator's way of controlling his men. Once he put the Blood Curse on someone, they had to obey him for life. If not, the Blood Curse would flare up and the victim would die of blood explosion, a cruel and savage ending. But the Blood Curse had a fatal flaw. If the target was stronger than the caster, the later would be devoured. This wasn't anything good for Zhuo Fan, but now that Zhuo Fan had the bloodworm, this flaw could be eliminated. Since the bloodworm lived in the target's body, they would never be able to remove the Blood Curse. With this special demonic creature, Zhuo Fan would be in control of a large group of experts to assist him. If anyone heard of this, they'd come to kill Zhuo Fan themselves, even radiant stage experts. This demonic creature was an abomination, an affront to heaven. Any listener would shiver hearing one could make any expert into a slave. With a maniac grin on his face, Zhuo Fan took the gourd filled with bloodworms and left Misty Forest. He performed a hand sign and the forest's fog turned bloody, barring any entry. This was his rearing grounds. Why would he ever let another find it? Stashing the gourd in his ring, Zhuo Fan returned to Blackwind Mountain. On his way, he paid attention to every grass, every tree to make sure all was in order. Over the past 3 months, besides the imperial family sending thousands of spirit stones and hundreds of pills, the Veiled Dragon Pavilion also sent 2,000 spirit stones. He had enough spirit stones on hand that he could flaunt his array grandmaster's skills. Plus, with the natural array here, he could still set up some decent defensive array even without such an amount of spirit stones. To the east of Blackwind Mountain was the Azure Dragon position under the wood attribute. It was a place filled with vitality. As such, Zhuo Fan set up a 5th grade array, Poison Dragon Array. Poisonous thickets grew inside the array, and the miasma above them would never scatter. Even a profound heaven expert would find it hard to escape with his life. To the west was the White Tiger position under the metal attribute. It was a place filled with sharp and overgrown plants. Zhuo Fan set up a 5th grade array, Dazzling Gold Array. 9 suns shined brightly within the array in every direction that no one could walk with their eyes open. Each ray of golden light was like a sharp sword, capable of robbing people of their lives, yet incorporeal. To the south was the Vermilion Bird position of the fire attribute, filled with burning chi. Zhuo Fan set the 5th grade array, Black Flame Array. The fires within it were demonic flames that corroded bones. When it entered one's body, it would be hard to remove, and it wouldn't stop gnawing until the target was burned to ashes. To the north was the Black Tortoise position of the water attribute, a place filled with piercing chills. Zhuo Fan set up the 5th grade array, Ice Shadows Array. Howling winds blew within the array's territory, forming endless illusions. Anyone who entered it would lose their way easily and freeze to death under the bone-piercing coldness that seeped into the victim's body. Zhuo Fan didn't tell anyone about the 4 new arrays. But since today was the day of his departure, he had to give the array's method of control to those he trusted. Young miss, come with me, Zhuo Fan beckoned Luo Yuncheng. She was unclear as to the reason, but she followed nonetheless. She was filled with glee as she saw so many things brought from the imperial family over the past few days. Especially with two elders standing watch, Luo clan was becoming stronger day by day. She was so moved that she was lost for words. It got so far that she even let Zhuo Fan's disappearance for these past 3 months slide. "Steward Zhuo, is there something?" Luo Yuncheng smiled as they entered a small room. Zhuo Fan closed the windows and doors without replying. Her thoughts started going in a particular direction and her face flushed. "Zhuo Fan W, what are you trying to do?" Luo Yuncheng was bashful. Taking a deep breath, Zhuo Fan began, "I'm leaving." "What?" Luo Yuncheng stood there in shock. She had a face of complete disbelief, wondering if she had heard him wrongly. Only when Zhuo Fan repeated was she certain. "Why, Luo clan is growing and is already the #1 clan in Windgaze City. Why do you want to leave? For Luo clan's safety." Zhuo Fan's tone was grave. "Luo clan is safe for now, and there's no other clan around to mess with it. But remember what we had to do in exchange for all this. We accepted the imperial family's vague secret pearl order and offended the 7 noble houses Hell Valley. As for Veiled Dragon Pavilion, if we do not rise to the level of the 7 houses, they will change their stance with us. Then we need you even more. What will we do without you?" Luo Yuncheng teared up. Her heart was unwilling to let him go. In a blink, a glittering tear fell. Wiping her tears away with a gentle touch, Zhuo Fan said, "Fatty was right about one thing. A clan's foundation is strength. I am leaving now to bring back experts for the Luo clan to protect our future. This is the control method of the 4 arrays around Blackwind Mountain. Only you must use it. If I'm not back in time, you can activate the arrays to deal with any trouble that arises. These are 4 5th-grade arrays, plus the Wraith array in the Misty Forest. It should defend you for a good while." Zhuo Fan gave a jade slip to Luo Yuncheng, who accepted it in tears. She asked softly, "How long will you be gone?" Sighing, Zhuo Fan shook his head. "I don't know, but I'll be back as soon as I can." He wasn't leaving just to recruit experts, but also to search for the Heavenly Emperor's remnant Longjiu talked about, Lightning Canyon. At any given time, raising one's power was the most basic way to guarantee one's safety. "All right, go now. Send Captain Peng and Yunhai in." Nodding, Luo Yuncheng left but stopped to kiss Zhuo Fan. He froze for a moment and watched her leave with a deep look. Luo Yuncheng blushed but didn't turn around as she mumbled, "Come back soon." When the words came, she was already gone. Not a moment later, Captain Peng brought Luo Yunhai over. Even they were shocked that Zhuo Fan was leaving. "Silly kid, you're the only man of the Luo clan. Your sister will have to rely on you in the future. You must act like a true clan head who bears the Luo clan's responsibilities." Zhuo Fan patted Yunhai's shoulder. Luo Yunhai nodded while sobbing. Turning to Captain Peng, Zhuo Fan's hand flashed and revealed a jade slip. But when Captain Peng was about to take it, Zhuo Fan clenched his fist. Captain Peng looked at him in doubt. Zhuo Fan stared hard at him. "Peng Yu, do you remember what Long Kui said? She is right, with your talent, you'll only be a chi condensation cultivator at best." Captain Peng's face darkened, his hand shivered and withdrew a bit. But Zhuo Fan's tone turned grave. "Nothing is set in stone. I have on me a way to change your body anew to gain incredible power, but the terror you will experience would be worse than death and the pain unimaginable. Are you willing?" Captain Peng was stunned, then he was overjoyed. Truly, nodding, Zhuo Fan raised the jade slip. "This is a mid-profound rank demonic method, Wraith art. It is unlike other cultivation methods. It is a cultivation method for the body, ignoring one's talent for cultivation or his constitution. Just that cultivating it will make your life a living hell. It's no different from being boiled alive. And once you start, you can never stop or your soul will perish." Captain Peng licked his dry lips, yet he wasn't afraid. His eyes only held excitement. "No worries, as long as I can become strong, no torment shall best old Peng." Captain Peng snatched the jade slip as he shouted. Zhuo Fan reminded him, "The horrors you will experience from cultivating it aren't something you can fathom. Maybe you will be under such a pain that your mind will collapse and die in the end. This is a mid-profound rank cultivation method, matching a high-profound rank cultivation method, but with the process being so excruciating, many great demonic cultivators never even dared to touch it. Choose wisely." Waving his hand, Captain Peng's eyes flickered. "Brother Zhuo, old Peng's only torment in this life was to see clan head die before me and unable to stop it. Now my greatest wish is to protect young miss and young master." Captain Peng looked gratefully. "Brother Zhuo, thank you for giving me this chance to have no more regrets." Zhuo Fan's heart shivered as he nodded. His eyes held respect. "The next time we see each other, I hope to see a powerful old Peng and not a corpse." "Ha ha ha, no worries. I am stubborn, not one to die from just this." Captain Peng laughed and squeezed Zhuo Fan in a bear hug with moist eyes. "Brother, come back soon. Luo clan won't be the same without you." Patting Zhuo Fan's shoulder, Captain Peng left with Luo Yunhai. Per Zhuo Fan's instructions, Lei Yuding came soon after. Miss Lei, how is the task I gave you? Zhu Fan smiled. Lei Yuding blushed with a nod. Brother Zhu, the 610-year-old children you asked me to gather are almost here. They all are high talents and await your teachings. Zhu Fan eyed her, then nodded. How did you know that I wanted to teach them? Lei Yuding spoke with confidence. I know you too well to believe that you helped those orphans out of the goodness of your heart. So I guessed you wanted to train them as Luo clan's guards and make me their leader. At her words, Zhu Fan recalled something inside. Goodness, I once raised an orphan out of kindness and look where it got me. Didn't he betray me in the end? Zhu Fan's eyes flashed coldly at that point, scaring Lei Yuding. Miss Lei, Zhu Fan held a jade slip. This is a mid-spirit rank cultivation method, elusive shadow art. Cultivate it and then give it to those you trust to form the shadow core, protecting the clan in the dark. Begin with the 600 children the same way I taught you. Use the worst of them as guards, the average for the shadow core, and hand the best among them over to Captain Pang to train them in secret. Pass him my word, he'll understand. Lei Yuding took the jade slip with a blank look, then stared at Zhu Fan, her heart uneasy. Why not do it yourself? I'm leaving. What? Lei Yuding asked. Why? Zhu Fan was forced to retell his reasons. Lei Yuding nodded, but before she went out the door, she pecked Zhu Fan's cheek. He was floored, watching her dash away in a blink. What is going on? Do all women like to peck? Next was Lei Yunshen's turn. Zhu Fan explained to him his affairs, and Lei Yunshen took his instructions to heart in an honest manner. Although he was the Grand Elder, he was clear Zhu Fan controlled everything. Elder Lei, Zhu Fan took out another jade slip. This is the profound ranked martial art I recorded after merging the 3 clans' martial arts, Thunderwind's sweeping dragon art. Since this is part of the Imperial family's secret pearls order, this will be the Luo clan's best martial art on the surface. As the Grand Elder, you need to be diligent in practicing it. Lei Yunshen raised an eyebrow but nodded. Zhu Fan put an emphasis on the words on the surface, making it clear he had other high-ranked martial arts that the Imperial family was unaware of, his secret weapons. A day may come when the Imperial family might discover that the 8th house they raised was out of their control, but at that time, it would already be too late. Zhu Fan was young, but his wisdom and shrewdness drew the old man's admiration. Rest assured, Steward Zhu, I will be the best Grand Elder there is. Lei Yunshen laughed, reaching an understanding with Zhu Fan. Even without Zhu Fan's reminder, he was clear what it meant to stand close to a ruler, and that the Imperial family wasn't to be trusted. But Zhu Fan gave this old man the nerve to tangle with this behemoth. Right, Steward Zhu, what of Kai Clan's father and son? Lei Yunshen frowned. It's already been 3 months since the merger of the 3 clans, but I still feel that the Kai clan is of a different thought, always acting suspiciously. The Blackwind Mountains guards have people from the Kai manor, I fear. Let them, Zhu Fan waved with a smile. The Kai clan is part of the secret pearl order. If we deal with them, we'll earn the Imperial family's ire. But if they betray us first, he. Lei Yunshen's eyes flashed with a nod. You're amazing, Steward Zhu, to plan so far ahead. Zhu Fan squinted as killing intent filled his eyes. On the morning of the 2nd day, Zhu Fan left Blackwind Mountain all by himself. On the mountain peak, Luo Yuncheng, Lei Yuding, and Lei Yunshen, along with other Luo clan members, watched him leave, all except Kai clan's duo. But in the forest halfway up the mountain, Kai Rong and his son watched Zhu Fan's retreating figure with cold eyes. Humph, without this wretched punk, Luo clan will fall from grace. Kai Xiaoding snorted. That stinky girl, Luo Yuncheng, made eyes with Zhu Fan every single day, not sparing me even a glance. With Zhu Fan gone, Blackwind Mountain is ours. Let's see her act haughty now. Sigh, one must give credit to Zhu Fan for his rare talent. He has Veiled Dragon Pavilion on his left and Third Prince on his right, while he himself has the power to shake the 3 clans. All of Blackwind Mountain knows the true clan head of this merged clan is him. Kai Rong shook his head. The most unfortunate thing is that he chose to be against us. Since he is leaving, we might as well take everything back. Dad, what do we do? Kai Xiaoding asked. Shaking his head, Kai Rong said, don't be hasty. With Zhu Fan gone, the Luo clan is nothing. The Lei clan is our true enemy. We need to ally ourselves and become stronger than the Lei clan. In the shadow of a large forest, a black-robed figure stood on the precipice of a mountain. His eyes took in the view of a large city gate with 3 golden words inscribed on it, Blue Expanse City. Raising the corner of his mouth, the black-robed man left as the wind scattered 2 piles of black dust. 15 minutes later, the man arrived before the city gates. Hold, where's your pass? With a clank, 2 city guards crossed their spears before the man as they released their 6th layer chi condensation cultivation. Taking out a metal tablet with the serene character inscribed on it, the black-robed man let them see it. The guards nodded and let him pass. Enter. The black-robed man quickened his pace, but after 100 meters, he turned his head at the guards, eyeing them with disdain. Utterly useless, the man raised his head and exposed his face. It was Zhuo Fan. It had been a month since he left Luo clan, and this city was his first destination, Blue Expanse City. This place was Hell Valley's domain. Just how Veiled Dragon Pavilion placed its guards in the Windgaze city, so did Hell Valley in this city. To avoid anyone recognizing him, Zhuo Fan put on a black robe. He braved through this deadly danger because he was left with no other choice. Who told the spiritual beasts to gather on the All-Beast mountain range near the Blue Expanse city. This was also why the security was so tight in this city. Be it righteous or demonic cultivators, there were other external means to increase one's power besides the hard and arduous method of cultivation. Spiritual weapons, demonic treasures, spirit animals, demonic creatures, these were all external means but of significant importance. At the time of peril, it could save one's life. The late elder of Hell Valley was a good example. Condor Giant Fan's soul-devouring crow had the purple lightning gold eye and could push back Veiled Dragon Pavilion's 3 elders' joint attack. Long Ju's 3rd-grade spiritual weapon was another, helping him push back 2 Hell Valley's elders with just a sword. It was obvious how important these external means were to cultivators. Spiritual beasts could be turned into demonic creatures or spirit animals. Righteous cultivators tamed them into spirit animals, while demonic cultivators tamed them into demonic creatures. Zhuo Fan's blood infant, which was born naturally, was an exception. The Blue Expanse city was taken by Hell Valley during the founding of the Tianyu Empire. As such, any cultivator wanting to get his spirit animal or demonic creature would have to obtain Hell Valley's approval. And Hell Valley used this as a pretext to set up a checkpoint half a mile around it to confirm everyone's identities, allowing entry to only those with a pass. But how could Zhuo Fan expose himself and offer himself up on a chopping block? So he killed 2 righteous cultivators outside, stole their pass, and waltzed right in. Humph, Hell Valley can only intimidate some shy disciples with this. You think this is enough to deal with a bold cultivator or a profound heaven expert? Zhuo Fan's mouth let out snide remarks as he walked on. He came all this way to All-Beast Mountain Range looking for a rare 6th-level spiritual beast, Thunder Skylark. Entering Lightning Canyon could only be done through the purple lightning. Zhuo Fan was certain Long Ju's 3rd heaven purple lightning wasn't the same as the lightning from that place, or it would have reached the 6th heaven. That kind of power was a deterrence even for a radiant stage expert. So before he cleared Lightning Canyon's restrictions, he had to first find a way to guarantee his life in that place. And the Thunder Skylark, a creature that lived by swallowing lightning, was a perfect choice. When he'd made it his demonic creature that matched the demon transformation art, he'd have no trouble getting in. Zhuo Fan hoped Lightning Canyon's purple lightning wasn't higher than 6th heaven, or not even the Thunder Skylark would survive repeated blows to its body and turn to ash. If that happens, then he'd only be waiting for his death. Zhuo Fan took a deep breath and picked up the pace. If not for Heavenly Emperor's remnant, he'd never dare go through such danger. Bam. As he walked, a black figure knocked into his chest. Zhuo Fan looked down to find a little beggar in shabby clothes. Zhuo Fan was enraged, but before he could curse, here came the little beggar's pleading voice. "Please, don't shout." Zhuo Fan frowned. Then from his back, a group of 30 chi condensation cultivators appeared. Because the beggar hid in front of Zhuo Fan, his black cloak was wide enough to hide the beggar. Any sign of him? None. What are you standing around for? Find him. If we don't find him, Master will have our heads. A steward cursed. The others only nodded as they scattered. Once they were gone, the beggar looked up with a relieved breath and patted his chest. "Scared me to death. I didn't think I'd make it." Zhuo Fan ignored him and walked away. Brother." The beggar was stunned for a second, then swooped in to block Zhuo Fan's path. He had a dark and dirty face but sported an extra big smile as he said, "Thank you for earlier. If it weren't for you," but Zhuo Fan kept walking. The beggar stood there blinking, then hurriedly caught up with Zhuo Fan. "Brother, did you come from outside the city? Can you take me outside, please? If you want to leave, do it alone. You don't need a pass to go out." Zhuo Fan dodged him. The little beggar's face was bitter as he bit his lip and sniffed twice as tears rolled down his cheeks. "Brother, to be honest, I stole from them. If they catch me, I'm a goner. Please take me outside." Smiling, Zhuo Fan eyed him, around 15-16 years old and a 4th-layer chi condensation cultivator. "You're not weak for your age. There's no way a commoner can have such cultivation. Are you truly a beggar?" The beggar stopped crying and his eyes darted everywhere as if looking for an excuse. Zhuo Fan continued with a smile, "And even if you're sincere, why should I help you and offend a powerful clan? I see no reason why I need to help you." Zhuo Fan then shook his head and walked past him. The beggar stood frozen in his spot, not knowing what to do. He didn't think Zhuo Fan was pragmatic. From the start, the beggar thought Zhuo Fan to be a kind youth since he helped him once. Don't you want to go to the All-Beast Mountain Range? The beggar shouted. Zhuo Fan halted his steps. All who come here are looking to go to the All-Beast Mountain Range. What else is here visiting Hell Valley's cemetery? The beggar was stunned by his words. This kid sure has an attitude. Isn't he afraid of being killed for cursing Hell Valley? But the more Zhuo Fan acted as such, the weirder the beggar's eyes turned. You'll have to wait for 3 months before going to All-Beast Mountain Range. Zhuo Fan stopped with a frown. Why? The beggar skipped to him with a smile. Let me tell you, the diamond sand is about to come out on All-Beast Mountain Range. These past months Hell Valley sealed the whole mountain range for this precise reason. Diamond sand? Zhuo Fan was secretly overjoyed. The diamond sand was known as the blood of the earth, rare and difficult to obtain. It was used for refining 5th-grade spiritual weapons. But what made it even more valuable was that it was a flowing spirit metal, a perfect match for his blood infant. His blood infant was close to breaking through to bone-tempering stage, and he needed to refine its body. At that time, blood infant could switch between being corporeal and elusive, killing people without leaving tracks. Refining it with 100 spirit metals would turn it as hard as a demonic treasure, and it would become difficult to cause any harm to it. He could also achieve a similar result by refining blood infant with diamond sand. If he was able to do it, then he wouldn't have to worry about obtaining 100 spirit metals. And with a body refined from diamond sand, facing a profound heaven expert would be a cinch. Thinking of this, Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed with excitement. The beggar saw through Zhuo Fan and coughed as he raised his head with pride. Let's make a deal. If you take me outside the city, I will take you to All-Beast Mountain Range. And when the diamond sand erupts, we can take advantage of their carelessness and steal a bit. Zhuo Fan secretly snickered. There was no way Hell Valley didn't prepare for this. But the fact that he had a guide to enter All-Beast Mountain Range without them knowing was a nice bonus. Deal, the beggar raised his hand and winked. Zhuo Fan shook his head and slapped the beggar's hand. Ha ha ha, awesome. I finally found someone to take me out of this damnable place. The beggar laughed while jumping around. Brother, what's your name? Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan was blunt because he knew even though Hell Valley was aware of the Luo clan, his title as a steward wasn't well known. And the only one who knows that he killed 2 of their elders was Yang Ming. But would anyone believe him even if he said it? Zhuo Fan was confident that Yang Ming would let this matter fester inside him. If anyone knew that Elder Giant died at the hands of a chi condensation punk, yet he survived, his future would be bleak if not cut short. Moreover, even if he did speak up, Hell Valley would never announce it. Could they afford to lose any more reputation? The beggar laughed. Brother Zhu, call me Zio Ning. Fine, Zhuo Fan nodded, not caring much because he knew it was fake. The beggar pouted, looking at him with a deep look full of curiosity. Zhuo Fan gave him a different impression from all those he had seen before, simply mysterious. Ninger, just when the little beggar was about to take Zhuo Fan to All-Beast Mountain Range, a yell echoed in their ears. Little beggar shivered, turning his head shyly. With slow footsteps, what appeared before the two was an elegant young master in white with tied hair. He was in front of 20 chi condensation experts donning the same clothes as the ones from the previous group. The young master ignored Zhuo Fan and glared at the beggar with rage. You've caused enough trouble. It's time you return. Biting his lip, the beggar's eyes looked uncertain, but soon he came to a decision and stared back with a firm gaze. He dodged behind Zhuo Fan with a yell, Brother Zhuo, save me. The young master finally picked up on Zhuo Fan's presence, merely glancing his phoenix eyes his way. This concerns our Zhu clan. If Sir does not want any trouble, I suggest you leave. Zhu clan? Zhuo Fan quirked an eyebrow and stared long at the beggar. I didn't think this buddy had offended the Zhu clan. Zhu clan was the #1 common clan in Blue Expanse City. It had a profound heaven expert as overseer and could be considered a second-rate clan on the continent. But as Blue Expanse City was under Hell Valley's control, Zhu clan was nothing more than its vassal. Zhuo Fan saw the beggar pleading with his eyes and smiled as he drew the beggar closer. The young master squinted and paled. The beggar was also surprised, and a faint red tint made itself notice on his dirty cheeks. Kid, what do you think you're doing? The young master bellowed. Zhuo Fan snickered. From now on, he's under me. If you want him, you'll have to pass through me first. Absurd. Did you come to Blue Expanse City without even knowing of our Zhu clan? Is our clan someone you can offend? Ha ha ha, Zhuo Fan laughed and shook his head. Of course I know. Zhu clan is Hell Valley's #1 dog in Blue Expanse City. You're telling me to ignore all those rare and amazing spiritual beasts on All-Beast Mountain Range for a lame dog. The young master was about to explode from anger. The beggar was also angry and pushed Zhuo Fan. Don't talk of Zhu clan like that. Zhuo Fan was stunned. I am venting your anger, yet you still blame me. Men, seize them. As Zhuo Fan was lost for words, the young master bellowed orders. The men behind him swarmed the two. The beggar woke up to who the enemy was and hid behind Zhuo Fan. Sneering, Zhuo Fan picked up on the fact that these guards were mostly 5th layer chi condensation cultivators, with only 2 in the 6th layer. A bunch of fishes looking for death, Zhuo Fan attacked with disdain. His hand flashed red and struck with blood palm. It hit a guard's chest, and the victim felt all his blood vessels burst and his organs expand to the point of bursting. He spat blood before collapsing. Another palm flew and the next guard fell. This pattern went on and on. The group of 20 guards fell one by one under Zhuo Fan's onslaught. The young master had long been standing there in shock. Even with his 8th layer chi condensation cultivation, he would be unable to deal with 20 men like Zhuo Fan did. It was clear that Zhuo Fan was only in the 5th layer, yet his simple palm dealt each guard a serious wound. What escaped his eyes, though, was that Zhuo Fan's blood palm bypassed a person's flesh and struck at the blood vessels. It was the same as ignoring the body's defense and attacking the vulnerable organs within, so of course, it was far deadlier than it looked. In but a few breaths, all guards were on the ground, knocked out. The young master witnessed it all with a solemn expression. The beggar's eyes also bulged in wonder. So you do know a thing or two, kid. No wonder you're so smug. The young master gnashed his teeth and jumped, shattering the stones beneath his feet. Then let me Zhu Gang coerce her with my high martial arts. Zhu Gang, Zhuo Fan frowned, are you Zhu clan's young master? I heard your dad pampers you and you are to be the clan's successor. So, are you afraid perchance? Zhu Gang shouted. Zhuo Fan shook his head. No, I just don't like annoyances. If I offend you here, my days in Blue Expanse City will be harder. It's best to shut all these people up for good and bring peace to my ears. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed with killing intent and shot forward. Such pressure from him squeezed at Zhu Gang's heart. He never dreamed Zhuo Fan would dare to kill him. The naked killing intent made his yuan qi slow down, even if he was 3 layers higher than Zhuo Fan. He, who was praised to high heaven for his talent in cultivation, couldn't foresee the world housing such a ruthless youth. A mere 5th layer chi condensation cultivator was able to overwhelm an expert 3 layers higher. He watched in abject fear as the palm neared his chest and was moments away from rupturing his heart. But in this moment of impending crisis, he bit his tongue to wake up. The pain freed him from the killing, intense, horrifying grip. With no time to lose, he punched. Blue lights shot like a tornado at Zhuo Fan. High mortal ranked martial art, howling fist. Zhuo Fan snorted in disdain and made a hand sign so that a red light flew right into Zhu Gang's body. Before the howling fist even touched Zhuo Fan, it broke apart and Zhu Gang's body froze on the spot in panic. At this moment, Zhuo Fan towered over him. Seeing Zhuo Fan's devious grin, Zhu Gang felt like he was looking at a demon, and his heart seized up for a few seconds. Bam! Zhuo Fan's palm landed on his chest, and Zhu Gang spat blood as he flew into the air. His organs felt like they were burning, and his blood vessels began to rupture. But the pain had yet to register when the demon approached. Zhu Gang was so scared he was having a mental breakdown. This was Zhuo Fan. He didn't strike with another palm, and instead, Zhuo Fan grabbed Zhu Gang's neck with a sneer. Young Master Zhu, worry not. After you die, your servants will follow in your footsteps down to the last one. This should keep the Zhu clan from chasing me all over for at least 3 months. Let's make this case. Cold, Zhuo Fan tightened the chokehold and Zhu Gang felt his throat almost breaking. He could even hear his bones creak. He was on the brink of death. Besides agony, nothing else was felt. Not for the life of him could he understand what he did wrong. Wasn't he only going to bring Ninger back? Why did he meet a Reaper instead? A ruthless killer. I forgot to read my future before heading out. If his neck wasn't being crushed by Zhuo Fan, he'd be wailing and bawling. Damn it, what rotten luck. Stop. Just when Zhuo Fan wanted to apply the last bit of force and send the young master to paradise, the beggar yelled. Zhuo Fan eyed him suspiciously. What are you doing? Aren't they your enemies? The beggar was filled with worry for Zhu Gang's life that even tears formed in his eyes. In fact, he wanted to stop Zhuo Fan long ago, but Zhuo Fan was just too fast. He dealt with the guards in one moment, and in the next, he was at Zhu Gang's throat. Even if they are, I don't want to kill them, the beggar cried. Zhuo Fan frowned. Why didn't you say so? But it's too late now. They are no longer just your enemies, they are mine too. The only ending for my enemies is death. Zhuo Fan's hand tightened and Zhu Gang's eyes bulged out. He wasn't far off from dying. If you don't release him, I won't guide you, the beggar yelled in tears. Zhuo Fan frowned. This was his first time seeing a person shed tears for their enemies. He let go and Zhu Gang dropped on the ground. Zhuo Fan made a sign and Blood Infant returned as he shrugged. Since you aren't scared, why would I be over some future inconvenience? He wiped the tears off the beggar's little face and walked away while holding the beggar close. Show the way, then I will take you outside the city, far from Zhu clan. Why you baddie? The little beggar stammered. Zhuo Fan sneered. Correct, I'm a bad man, but in this world they are the only ones who can survive. The good guys have already left for hell. The beggar wiped his tears and looked at Zhuo Fan unafraid. He had seen his fair share of bad people, but none rose to Zhuo Fan's level. Yet he never felt any hatred for Zhuo Fan as he did for others. Instead, he felt at ease. This feeling he didn't express, but it felt nice anyway. An hour later, a black figure appeared standing in Zhuo Fan's previous position. The old man's beard shivered from rage at the sight of the guards on the ground. He noticed Zhu Gang twitching on the ground, helped him up, and asked nervously, "Ganger, what's wrong? Who did this to you?" Zhu Gang gasped with a pale face, yet not one word was uttered. The old man looked him over and found that only Zhu Gang's insides were wounded, while below him was a puddle of water. He gave Zhu Gang a pill, then let out a long breath, but Zhu Gang's injury astonished him. His wound wasn't heavy, only needing a month to heal, but his mind, however, had received a heavy shock. He was frightened so badly he peed himself. Ganger is a bold youth. Only a dreadful expert could have scared him to such a state in such a short time. The old man was bewildered as he pondered for a long time. In the end, he shook his head and left with Zhu Gang. No matter who it was, any who dared offend Zhu clan in Blue Expanse City would have another thing coming. That's the path up the mountain. The beggar and Zhuo Fan poked their heads through a bush close to a narrow mountain path. Zhuo Fan looked ahead and frowned, seeing 30 bone-tempering guards. With his strength and savage moon, along with Blood Infant's help, it wasn't hard to charge through, but to do it without anyone noticing was the problem. Any noise here would attract the elder from Hell Valley stationed within. And since Zhu clan's profound heaven expert was after him, he'd have a hard time coming out alive. After careful deliberation, Zhuo Fan shook his head. He'd have to rely on the little beggar if he wanted to go within the mountain's range. Zio Ning, where's the secret tunnel? Zhuo Fan looked at the little beggar. The latter was still feeling afraid of what he had witnessed some time ago. He wasn't crying but still sniffed. "See, come with me," said the little beggar while sniffing hard. Then he and Zhuo Fan vanished from the bushes. Zhuo Fan felt helpless. Why is this kid more of a coward than a mouse? Ever since he saw what I did, he keeps crying from fear even now. They were the enemies chasing you down, not your family. So why are you crying so hard? Zhuo Fan secretly cursed but was resigned to his fate. Who told him to agree to this little beggar's deal? He imagined that after he followed the beggar to the mountain, he'd be facing some ferocious spiritual beasts while the beggar kept crying at the side. Sighing, Zhuo Fan traveled with the beggar through a dark forest. After a long time, they found a narrow tunnel next to a hidden stream. This is it. The beggar forced himself to stop sobbing, but his body still shivered. When I was little, I used to play with my dad and brothers in these woods. Zhuo Fan lifted an eyebrow as he inspected the cave and the surroundings. It was such a remote place that only a native would know of. He guessed that the little beggar must have stumbled upon this cave when he was playing with his brothers, or the Hell Valley would have sealed it by now if they knew of it. "All right, Zio Ning, go in first, I'll be right behind you," Zhuo Fan shouted as he pushed the little beggar in. He didn't think this place held a trap, but his years and years of experience still showed his cautious nature. The little beggar was aware of the meaning and rolled his eyes in anger and stooped to go in. Suddenly, a loud shout was heard. "Ninger, stop!" Whoosh, with the sound of the wind, a large figure blocked the two's path. The man looked like he was in his 40s and wore luxurious clothing over his tall and sturdy body. His pair of large eyes flashed with the explosive power of an expert. "Peak bone tempering expert." Zhuo Fan frowned and his hands tightened. "Are you the clan head of the Zhu clan, Zhu Wanlong?" "Good eyes," Zhu Wanlong praised. "Were you the one who harmed my eldest son, Zhu Gang?" "Indeed," Zhuo Fan smiled. "He wanted to take one of my people. Sparing him was already kind enough." "What, yours?" Zhu Wanlong was shocked and turned to the little beggar. The little beggar blushed as he hid behind Zhuo Fan. Zhu Wanlong's expression turned weird. "Dad," just then a yell was heard. A youth in white landed next to Zhu Wanlong. "Ha ha ha, I knew Ninger would be hiding here. Dad, let me help you take him back." The youth looked thrilled. He disregarded Zhuo Fan and flew to the little beggar. "Bastard, this kid is way too cocky, treating me like air." Zhuo Fan squinted and secretly cursed. When the youth was close to him, he struck with a red palm. The youth felt his energy turn sluggish and his blood vessels rupture. In this moment of deadly crisis, Zhuo Fan struck like lightning and grabbed his neck. "What are you doing?" Zhu Wanlong roared. He didn't think his son would be caught so easily. To be honest, he saw Zhuo Fan as a fifth-layer chi condensation cultivator and was still skeptical of how he hurt his eldest son and guards. But now he knew. Compared to the kids he raised in his clan with all his heart, Zhuo Fan was akin to a savage beast bathed in blood. He was weaker, but his timing was perfect and his methods vicious. Before Zhuo Fan, his two sons were nothing more than greenhouse flowers. With a snicker, Zhuo Fan raised the youth up high, a fifth-layer chi condensation cultivator. "He must be your second son, Zhu Lin, right? Release him now or you won't make it out alive." Zhu Wanlong roared in anger. Sneering, Zhuo Fan shook his head. If I do as you say, you'd make sure I'm dead even more. Clan head Zhu, no matter what grievances Xiao Ning has with you, he is my person. I only hope you will give up at this point. Don't. Zhuo Fan's hand squeezed and Zhu Lin gasped with his tongue out, and you will have your son as a corpse. No, the little beggar shouted before Zhu Wanlong could reply, grabbing Zhuo Fan's arm and begging with his eyes. Zhuo Fan was stunned. This beggar must have a screw loose. Why does he want to leave his enemies alive? Zhu Wanlong watched them with a complicated gaze, but soon came to a decision and calmed down. This in turn startled Zhuo Fan. Kid, what is your name? Zhu Wanlong asked. Zhuo Fan smiled. I am alone and am not afraid of your revenge, nor am I afraid of telling you my name. It's Zhuo Fan. All right, Zhuo Fan, you want to protect him no matter what. Zhu Wanlong pointed at the little beggar with a solemn look. Zhuo Fan snorted. He is mine, so of course I will. Good, then let's make a bet. You let my son go and take 10 hits from me. If you win, I will no longer care about him. What do you say? Squinting, Zhuo Fan considered Zhu Wanlong's bet, then showed his manic grin as he threw Zhu Lin away. Aren't you afraid I will break my word? Zhu Wanlong's eyes flashed. Zhuo Fan sneered. If I want to kill him, you won't be able to stop me. Big words. Zhu Wanlong was angry again. Here are my 10 moves. He charged with his peak bone tempering power on display. But Zhuo Fan didn't seem to feel any discomfort, standing there calmly. Zhu Wanlong's brow trembled as he secretly praised Zhuo Fan. But before he reached Zhuo Fan, the latter also charged. This puzzled him greatly. Even if this kid is a seasoned fighter, he can't fend off a bone-tempering expert. So why? He saw Zhuo Fan's hand shine and Savage Moon appear. Basked in a silver glow, Zhuo Fan sped up and was before Zhu Wanlong in an instant, ready to attack. Third-grade demonic treasure. Zhu Wanlong was shocked and turned to the side in an attempt to dodge, but a red light darted out from Zhuo Fan, aimed at Zhu Wanlong. Got you, Zhuo Fan grinned with killing intent. But just as Blood Infant was about to enter Zhu Wanlong, it was repelled. As it bounced off, Zhuo Fan felt his blood stirring from his connection with it. His hand moved and he slashed with Savage Moon. The silver light trailed past Zhu Wanlong's face. When both of them stopped, Zhuo Fan was standing in Zhu Wanlong's original place with a solemn look. Just now he had planned to take Zhu Wanlong's life in one hit by using Blood Infant and Savage Moon. But unexpectedly, Blood Infant bounced off and the recoil veered his attack. He turned back to see Zhu Wanlong's chest flash and shouted, "Second-grade defensive demonic treasure." His heart grew heavy having found out the reason. Against such a defensive demonic treasure, his chi condensation Blood Infant was useless. He could only rely on Savage Moon in this battle. As Zhuo Fan felt gloomy about the upcoming fight, Zhu Wanlong's jaw dropped in shock. He didn't foresee that a fifth-layer chi condensation kid would have such terrifying power. If he was a moment too late, his head would have been sent flying right now. Recalling his bet with Zhuo Fan, he felt a cold shiver run down his spine. Blast it, as the matter stands, it'll be good if I can at least keep my head after 10 moves. He then looked at the chain mail on his chest and sighed. Thanks to his father warning him that the man who took Ninger might have been an expert, he wore this armor. He was unclear as to what was Blood Infant's use, but he knew death wouldn't be far away once it got into his body. Then he turned to Zhuo Fan, who was looking at him as if to devour him, and broke out in cold sweat. This was his first time meeting such a dreadful opponent, even more so when this opponent was in the fifth layer of chi condensation. Damn it, is this kid a monster? Gnashing his teeth, Zhu Wanlong braced himself for what's to come. Wanlong thinking hard for a way to finish his enemy. Zhu Wanlong was the same, yet his eyes seemed lost. He saw no hesitation from Zhuo Fan, but a naked taunt instead. This was not how a chi condensation cultivator was supposed to stare at a bone-tempering expert. It was more akin to a savage beast staring down its prey, and he didn't like it one bit. Being stared down by someone weaker than me feels like I've lost all respect. He decided to rush for an attack and strike awe in this kid, but Zhuo Fan got ahead of him and ran for him first. Second move, Zhuo Fan's sudden action startled him, but soon recalled who he was. Even if it was against a punk, he wasn't about to make a fool of himself. Moreover, only Savage Moon was a threat to him. If he paid attention to it, he'd be fine. It would be no problem lasting 10 moves. If his thoughts were known to others, it would leave them speechless. In a fight between peak bone tempering expert and a chi condensation kid, the former who thought this was but a cat and mouse game was now thinking how to survive 10 moves. Who the hell was strong and who was weak then? And more importantly, who in the hell told him to make a 10 moves bet in the first place? But he had no time to mind such trifles as Zhuo Fan had turned into a silver light. Seeing the silver light approach him, Zhu Wanlong exploded with power and retreated. It could be said that he was being wary of Savage Moon, but he was even more afraid that he would end up making an embarrassing scene. Zhu Lin, who was thrown down, coughed twice then stared in shock. "Dad, you were the one who brought up the 10 moves bet, not the other way around." Zhu Wanlong's face froze, itching to run over and kick his son's rear real good. "Can you be even more oblivious? This kid's toy is sharp and you want me to play around with death." Zhu Lin was ignorant of his dad's struggle and kept cheering, but Zhu Wanlong's face was getting more and more ashen. Zhuo Fan didn't even get to touch Zhu Wanlong's clothes in the first 5 moves, but he saw through Zhu Wanlong's intention and became bold. With a manic grin, Zhuo Fan declared, "6th move." He sped up for another attack while Zhu Wanlong was prepared to dodge. But this time, Zhuo Fan stepped lightly and turned into 3 figures surrounding Zhu Wanlong. 3 silver lights approached Zhu Wanlong in a threatening manner from different directions. Zhu Wanlong was startled. But as a peak bone tempering expert, he didn't lose his calm. He kicked the ground and made it explode. The force helped him dodge backwards, almost enough to escape the encirclement, but Zhuo Fan sneered and stepped again. Whoosh. The images dissipated. However, Zhuo Fan appeared from behind Zhu Wanlong and cut past his ear. Low spirit ranked martial art, mystifying phantom step. The two stopped again, with Zhuo Fan standing 3 meters away from his opponent with a smile. Zhu Wanlong stood there watching a strand of black hair floating before him. I lost. He couldn't believe it. What was meant to be a test for the kid ended with his complete loss in the 6th move. He didn't sense Zhuo Fan behind him, but since Zhuo Fan could cut his hair just as well, it could have been his head. In other words, Zhuo Fan was going easy on him. Zhu Wanlong swallowed dryly. He was going all out from the 2nd move, but even so, impossible, the beggar and Zhu Lin yelled at the same time. They found it hard to accept that such a powerful expert lost to their peer. "Dad, you must have gone easy on purpose, right?" Zhu Lin ran next to Zhu Wanlong with expectation in his eyes, but Zhu Wanlong didn't comment. Zhuo Fan watched them coldly. Of course, clan head Zhu went easy. His first move was just a test, without killing intent. "If Dad hadn't gone easy, you'd be dead." Zhu Lin was grasping for straws here when he stuck out his chin in derision. But Zhuo Fan just sneered, "Terribly sorry, your dad didn't go all out. But if he had, his head would have been lying on the ground by now." Zhuo Fan wasn't saying to scare people. Although his first attempt with Blood Infant failed, it only meant that he lost the initiative completely, and that didn't equal losing his chance to kill Zhu Wanlong. A bone-tempering expert lacked speed in comparison to a profound heaven expert. With Savage Moon's assist, Zhuo Fan's speed matched a bone-tempering expert, so he still had a chance with his speed. What was left then was to deliver a killing blow at the perfect timing. If Zhuo Fan was in the 4th layer of Qi condensation, it would have been impossible, but in the 5th layer, he could use spirit-ranked martial arts, and the first one he trained was mystifying phantom step. This was not your average martial art, but one coming from 9 Serenity's secret records, a rare martial art that made use of an array's advantage. The phantom part wasn't important, but it was crucial to bait the opponent. The true killing move came from the mystified path he drew his opponent in. With this martial art, Zhuo Fan could teleport anywhere within a short range. During their fight, the phantoms took all of Zhu Wanlong's attention and made him ignore the sudden appearance of Zhuo Fan behind him. If Zhuo Fan had sensed any killing intent in their fight, he would have chopped Zhu Wanlong's head off. Zhu Wanlong was more than clear on this and accepted his defeat. Zhuo Fan, with a sigh, Zhu Wanlong stared at him solemnly. "You're the most reliable youth I've ever seen. I will leave Ninger with you, don't fail him." Zhuo Fan was puzzled. What does he mean by that? But Zhu Wanlong didn't explain and hugged the little beggar. "Ninger, go and don't return." "Follow your dreams, Dad," the little beggar cried rivers. Zhuo Fan watched in shock. "Dad, when did Zhu Wanlong have a 3rd son?" But soon he yelled, "Hold on, your 3rd young miss, Zhu Ningxiang." Rolling his eyes, Zhu Wanlong patted Zhuo Fan's shoulder. "Kid, I thought you were smart, but you found this out only now. Anyway, you said it yourself that she is yours, so I am leaving her in your care. If I find out that you mistreated my daughter in any way, I will wring your life from your body. No way." What is going on here? Zhuo Fan was slack-jawed. All this time he'd been fighting the little beggar's father and was so close to ending her entire family. It's obvious now why she always glared at me with such hatred. Sighing, Zhu Wanlong took one last look at his tearing daughter and left with Zhu Lin. After going some distance, Zhu Lin said, "Dad, if we don't get Ninger back, how do we explain it to Hell Valley?" "Quiet, I have a way." Zhu Ningxiang. Zhuo Fan stepped before the little beggar and tossed her cap. Jet black silky hair cascaded. The little beggar, who was still lost in tears as she watched her father leave, yelped when this happened and hurriedly held her head. She faced him with a blushed face but didn't meet his eyes. "Miss Ning, what's your game? Here I was fighting with your father thinking of helping you vent your anger, but in fact it was for nothing." Zhu Ningxiang took 2 steps back, muttering as she looked at his angry face, "Brother Zhuo, don't be angry. I only want to leave the city while you want to go to All Beast Mountain Range. We'll each get what we want. Zhuo Fan was startled. Then again, she's right. As long as I get what I want, who cares if they're a family of archenemies? Each gets what he wants. This Missy speaks reason. Will I, demonic emperor, get angry because she lied to me? Anyway, this has nothing to do with me. But then Zhuo Fan was startled once again. Since when have I been so emotional? With a frown, Zhuo Fan recalled everything that happened since his rebirth. He then realized that being in contact with the Luo clan over the past months made him show consideration to the people around him, even without his knowledge. This wasn't how a demonic cultivator acted at all. Damn it, I don't need these useless feelings. I have to change. I have to, Zhuo Fan reminded himself again and again. His face then turned serene, void of any emotion. Xianxia, let's go. Zhuo Fan pointed at the cave and said in a cold tone, once I'm done with All Beast Mountain Range, I will take you out. At that time our deal is done. Xianxia looked long at him, then nodded. Zhuo Fan's behavior changed way too fast, as if he was a different person. To begin with, Zhuo Fan wasn't a good man in her mind, but now he became neither good nor bad, but cold and unfeeling. All Beast Mountain Range, deep in the forest. In a remote thicket, a rabbit was chewing on tender, juicy grass. Suddenly, the rabbit straightened its ears and bolted. A moment later, a black hand extended out from the ground, followed by the slow crawl of the little beggar. But as she was crawling, she was flung out with a loud sound, as if a palm had slapped her. Get out already, Zhuo Fan scowled and came out after the beggar flew. He was just as filthy as the beggar and looked as if he had crawled through a cramped coal mine. The tunnel was winding and almost half a mile long. It was also damp and smelled of rot. He couldn't understand for the life of him what was so great about playing in this place as kids. Xianxia got on her feet, rubbed her rear, and then glared at him. You're the worst. I show you the way and this is my thanks. Yes, I'm a scoundrel. Zhuo Fan didn't argue with her and had his eyes peeled, scanning the surrounding as he heard the seldom roar of spiritual beasts. He now knew that this was indeed All Beast Mountain Range. Looking at his filthy appearance, he shook his head and turned to Xianxia. Hey, is there any river nearby? Rolling her eyes, Xianxia began walking. Follow me. Zhuo Fan smiled and followed her. 15 minutes later, the sound of water reached their ears. He perked up and sped. His eyes were soon rewarded with the sight of a wide river flowing with clear water and small fishes. With a shout, Zhuo Fan leapt in despite a female's presence. His clothes then flew out. Xianxia whipped her body around in shame and snapped, You rogue, what are you doing? What do you think, bathing? Zhuo Fan snorted as he bathed with no regard to her presence. I'll get out after I finish. Do what you want. If you wish, we can bathe together. I don't mind. Damn you, who wants to bathe with you? Xianxia didn't turn around, only mumbled with irritation, shameless. Zhuo Fan heard her loud and clear, though. If demonic cultivators cared about reputation, what are righteous cultivators then? A quarter of an hour later, Zhuo Fan came out of the river and put on a new robe from his ring. He patted Xianxia's shoulder. Let's go. Where is the diamond sand going to appear? Xianxia was a bit nervous seeing Zhuo Fan wanted to leave. She stood there in hesitation and was too embarrassed to speak. Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow. What? Show the way. Didn't we have a deal? But, Xianxia muttered shyly, I haven't washed yet. Zhuo Fan's eyebrow twitched and he exposed an enigmatic smile. I told you to wash, but you refused. Since you haven't, then that's that. I won't avoid you either way. But, Xianxia was even more embarrassed now. She put on a disguise to run away from home. But she was a girl and girls loved beauty, so how could she allow herself to stay dirty? Zhuo Fan knew this too, but he was just teasing the hell out of her. Who told her to deceive me? Xianxia was swaying from one foot to the other but didn't speak. But when she caught Zhuo Fan's faint smile, she knew he was teasing her. Pissed, she threw her hat in his face and walked to the river. But after a few steps, she turned to warn Zhuo Fan, why you better not peek. Zhuo Fan mocked as he left. I'm not interested in unripe fruits. Unripe. Xianxia was startled, then looked down at her chest and pushed it out unconvinced. Humph, where am I unripe? But Zhuo Fan had already disappeared among the trees. Xianxia pouted and returned to the river with a gloomy heart. Half an hour later, Zhuo Fan was laying carefree on a bush, holding a straw in his mouth and contemplating his next course of action. The bushes around him moved at that moment, and Zhuo Fan looked over with a smile. Oh, you're finally done. Little miss, can we go now? Why, yeah. With a shy reply, the bushes were pushed aside. A white-clothed, delicate girl slowly walked out. She wasn't gorgeous, but she had a lively air about her. She was like a bouquet of fresh and pure flowers. Even Zhuo Fan was startled by her image. He didn't think that the dirty little beggar from before would transform into a gentle swan. Xianxia reddened a bit from his constant staring. She coughed and Zhuo Fan smiled embarrassingly. Lady Zhu, please lead the way. Changing his mannerism after encountering a bell, Zhuo Fan started to despise himself a bit. Since when have I become so shameless? yet the end result was that he found it refreshing walking side by side with a bell. 2 hours later, Zhu Ningxiang brought him to a hilltop. Zhuo Fan was puzzled. Since the diamond sand is coming out, there should be plenty of people around. Why is it deserted? Zhu Ningxiang shook her head and rolled her eyes. Brother Zhu, I thought you were smart. How come you are so stupid all of a sudden? Zhu Fan watched her skeptically. If we go in right now, we will be caught. That is why I led you here. Zhu Ningxiang pulled Zhu Fan's hand and went higher up the hill and pointed. That is the place where the diamond sand will erupt. Looking over, Zhu Fan saw many figures, 50 in number, defending a pond. The pond seemed to be connected to a hot spring as it was bubbling. In the center, on a stone rising from the water, sat a gray-robed, white-haired elder with his eyes closed. The air was warm around him, but the steam from the hot spring vanished the closer it got to him. So much so that not even his hair was wet. Such deep cultivation. Is he a profound heaven expert? Zhu Fan frowned in panic. Suddenly, that elder snapped his eyes open and looked in Zhu Fan's direction. His eyes were sharp and landed like lightning on his position. Get down. Zhu Fan pulled Zhu Ningxiang to lie on a rock as cold sweat ran all over his body. Such a sharp instinct. He is a profound heaven expert for sure. Correct. Zhu Ningxiang nodded. He is Hell Valley's elder overseeing Blue Expanse City for the past dozen years. Last month he found that the Golden Spring Pool released a lot of diamond sand and has stood watch here ever since. The 50 people around him are also bone-tempering experts. Zhu Fan nodded. Before diamond sand erupted, it would cause the flowing gold tide. But the flowing gold tide would only contain trace amounts of diamond sand. But 3 months from then, the diamond sand would erupt for sure. To get all the diamond sand before others, they placed guards. But who is to say the diamond sand would erupt from here? Zhu Fan frowned as he thought. With his power, he had no hope of stealing the diamond sand unless... His eyes flashed and pulled Zhu Ningxiang off the hilltop. What you have away? Seeing Zhu Fan confident, Zhu Ningxiang was startled. She was already shocked that he could beat her family, but could he also have the power to win against a profound heaven cultivator and a team of bone-tempering experts? Zhu Fan shook his head. If you can't beat them, outwit them. Let's go, I want you to find a little pet for me. Zhu Ningxiang was puzzled. In the Golden Spring Pool, the elder's eyes were filled with confusion. Did I sensed wrongly? At the same time, in Blue Expanse City, Zhu Wanlong took Zhu Lin's dirty figure home. In the main hall of the Zhu clan sat a wizened old man in the seat of honor, watching the two. Then he suddenly jumped to his feet. How was it? Did you bring Ninger? Did you deal with the culprit that harmed Ganger? Sighing, Zhu Wanlong shook his head. Dad, I let them go. That kid is not bad, so I entrusted Ninger to him. As for him injuring Ganger, he did not know any better. As long as he takes care of Ninger, I do not mind it. What, that man is Ninger's? The old man spouted in shock. Nodding, Zhu Wanlong said, that kid said Ninger was his. Ninger was also willing, so we can assume so. Fool, the old man slapped the table with a howl. Wanlong, no matter who the kid is, even if you disregard what he did to Ganger, Ninger can never ever be taken away. You know that if she leaves our Zhu clan, even though he was angry, his eyes revealed sadness. Zhu Wanlong looked at his father with firm eyes as he said, Dad, let Ninger go. I will take full responsibility. You take shit. Can you keep the young and old safe? The old man roared. Wanlong, I know you love your daughter, but you think I don't. But Zhu clan. Sighing, the old man's face hardened. Where did they go? Zhu Wanlong was vexed, but still spoke as he closed his eyes. All Beast Mountain Range. Whoosh. In an instant, the old man vanished. Range, Zhu Ningxiang was unsettled, not knowing where he was going with this. Zhu Fan suddenly shouted in glee and held out something dirty. Found it. Zhu Ningxiang blinked in curiosity at the thing. What is it? What does it do? Sweet potato. Zhu Fan gave a vague smile and continued. The one thing that first-level spiritual beast burrowing mouse likes the most. Zhu Ningxiang's eyes flashed and yelled, Great plan, you want to use a burrowing mouse to make a tunnel and steal the diamond sand. The burrowing mouse didn't know how to fight, and even a foundation establishment cultivator could capture it easily. But its burrowing skill was second to none. Just one of these critters could dig through a 1,000-mile-long mountain range in an hour. Zhu Fan didn't reply and showed a faint smile. Zhu Ningxiang felt even more suspicious now. No one seemed to be able to unravel the insidious mind of Zhu Fan. A moment later, Zhu Fan took Zhu Ningxiang far away from the Golden Spring Pool and made a fire in which he threw the sweet potato. Soon, a sweet aroma wafted for 100 miles. Many spiritual beasts raised their heads and began searching for the source. Zhu Fan took Zhu Ningxiang to lay in ambush close by, their eyes fixed on the fire. The bushes rustled and many spiritual beasts, big and small, approached the fire. They prodded the black lumps in the fire, wanting to find out from where the sweet smell came from, to no avail. Zhu Fan secretly laughed and smiled at Zhu Ningxiang. In fact, the two took the cooked sweet potato long ago. They only left it inside enough to release its sweet smell and attract the burrowing mouse. If not, the other spiritual beasts would have taken it away and ruined their plan. More and more spiritual beasts came and searched, but found nothing. However, the soil next to the fire moved as it bulged outwards to no more than a fist in size. Zhuo Fan stood up slowly and got ready. Suddenly, the bulge of dirt broke away. A creature with a black mouth on its tiny head came out. It roamed around the fire a few times and sniffed. Now Zhuo Fan screamed in his mind as he shot for the fire. The spiritual beasts, which gathered around the fire, were only at first and second level, ran away at the sudden noise. Only the burrowing mouse was oblivious to what was happening, but its intuition as a spiritual beast gave it a bit of insight that danger was looming. It immediately started moving its claw, wanting to burrow, but it was too late. Zhuo Fan already flashed before it and grabbed its tail. The burrowing mouse struggled for its life in panic, but there was no escape from the demonic palm of Zhuo Fan. Hee, buddy, you wanna run? With a manic grin, Zhuo Fan grabbed the critter's frail body and squeezed. It screeched in pain and flailed its claws. Xianxia couldn't take it anymore and took the poor thing close to her chest. She patted it and threw Zhuo Fan an evil eye. How can you be so cruel? What if you hurt it? Humph, spiritual beasts don't get bruised easily. Zhuo Fan snorted. We need to hurry and tame it or we won't get another chance. But you don't need to be such a bore about it. My clan had raised some small spiritual beasts before, and even if they were wild, they still listened to me. Xianxia comforted the poor critter with a sweet smile. Isn't that right, little one? The burrowing mouse seemed to understand and nodded, then glared at Zhuo Fan. Curses, buddy, you're pushing it here. Zhuo Fan raged inside, itching to get his hand on the prick. But it was impossible, not with Xianxia guarding it like a tigress. But then an idea struck him, and his manic grin returned. The burrowing mouse shivered at the sight of him and hid in Xianxia's chest. What are you trying to do? Xianxia warned Zhuo Fan as she stepped back. His face flipped to a gentle smile as a gourd appeared on his palm. It's all right. I won't harm the little one. I only want it to swallow something. Then he took out a blood-red worm from the gourd. It was the demonic creature he had raised with great care, frigid pool bloodworm. Any creature that ingested it would have no choice but to listen to his commands, or the blood curse would claim their lives. If not for time being an issue, he wouldn't have wanted to waste a bloodworm on a first-level spiritual beast. What is that? So disgusting? Xianxia frowned and took another step back. The burrowing mouse also sensed the danger and hid in her chest. Zhuo Fan was dead serious. We have 2 ways we can tame the little guy fast. Either let me train it for a day, or he eats this. Xianxia saw Zhuo Fan's face, and she knew if she refused, he'd use force. Helpless, Xianxia took the burrowing mouse out and patted its head. Little one, it's better if you eat it. Although it's a tad disgusting, it's better than landing in that guy's hands, Xianxia said as she walked towards Zhuo Fan. With a sinister smile, Zhuo Fan inched the bloodworm close to the burrowing mouse's mouth. The critter struggled, but it was of no use. The bloodworm was about to enter its mouth. At that moment, however, a whoosh was heard. Zhuo Fan pushed Xianxia away as he moved back himself. Watch out, a cold light passed between them. The freezing ray almost touched Zhuo Fan's fingers as it cut the wiggling bloodworm clean in half. He was aware of the killing intent the ray contained. Zhuo Fan turned to see a tall youth not 10 meters away. He looked to be 20 years old and had a handsome visage. His eyes flashed with coldness, like a pair of sharp blades at the two of them. The burrowing mouse shrieked a few times and ran from Xianxia's hands and climbed up his body to his shoulder. It has a master, Zhuo Fan scowled. The youth snorted at the two. You both got some nerve eyeing my spirit animal. Sorry, it wasn't on purpose. Zhuo Fan stopped Xianxia's explanation with a wave and pushed her behind him. It doesn't matter if it has a master or not. We need it today. Ha ha ha, big words, the youth sneered. One insect is in the 5th layer of chi condensation while the other in the 4th. Yet you still want to tame what is mine. Fine, guess I will have to end you. Humph, we will see about that. Sneering, Zhuo Fan rushed at the youth as Savage Moon flashed in his hand. 3rd grade demonic treasure? Raising an eyebrow, the youth lost the contempt he had before. This demonic treasure was a threat to his life, and in all his teachings he received, one needed to go all out regardless of the enemy. His eyes gleamed as he dashed at Zhuo Fan. His hand flashed, and it now held a longsword. In an instant, the world seemed to freeze over. The sky and the earth seemed to vanish as flickering lights spewed from the sword. Empty net, whoosh, Zhuo Fan suddenly slowed down amid his charge. Even his surroundings were sluggish, while the only thing unaffected was the longsword. Profound ranked martial art, 7th layer of bone tempering stage, and 4th grade spiritual weapon. Squinting, Zhuo Fan started to take this seriously. This youth wasn't average. It was hard enough reaching such cultivation at his age, but he had also grasped a profound ranked martial art and used a 4th grade spiritual weapon. In the Tianyu Empire, rare were those like him, even in the 7 noble houses, and exactly that was the answer. This man could be a core disciple of the 7 noble houses, perhaps even an inheritor. Today Zhuo Fan offended him and tomorrow trouble would come knocking. The only choice was to kill him. In an instant, Zhuo Fan's eyes exploded with killing intent. The youth was startled. Am I not the one holding the advantage? Why is this kid releasing such thick killing intent? Does he think he can actually kill me? The next moment, however, Zhuo Fan's action left him pale. Despite knowing that he was slowed down, Zhuo Fan only took a step and turned into 5 images of himself. Sneering, the youth grinned. Think you can act tough with such a base-level killing move? The youth's sword turned into 5 and struck each figure down. But at that moment, Zhuo Fan's voice came from behind him. Nice sword skill. Too bad you met me. The youth jumped in fright. When did he get behind me? In this moment of imminent danger, he stabbed backwards. The sword art's aim was perfect, targeting Zhuo Fan's chest. Zhuo Fan looked down calmly, with slight praise in his heart. Too bad it's over. Whoosh. Zhuo Fan ignored the sword going for his chest and slashed at the youth's waist. If this continued, it would end with Zhuo Fan being gravely wounded and the youth dead. A wound for a kill, worth it. Ding! Zhuo Fan slashed with full power, but a metal screech echoed and Savage Moon bounced back. He squinted as his heart was in a panic. This punk has a spiritual armor besides the spiritual weapon, but the timing didn't even let him think. The youth's sword was getting dangerously close to his chest. In this wound for a kill scenario, his opponent would come unharmed while he would be too wounded to continue fighting. Damn it, I miscalculated this time. Zhuo Fan secretly cursed and used the Savage Moon's rebound to save himself. Not for the life of him did he think this freaking punk to be this rich. Even an elder from Hell Valley had a single demonic treasure at best, but this punk here was wielding one while wearing another. Who the hell is he? Bam! With no more time to think, Zhuo Fan's Savage Moon and the golden sword struck each other. With a loud sound, Zhuo Fan flew back due to the force. The blood in his chest flowed erratically and forced him to spew blood. He hit the dirt and the Savage Moon clanked next to him in 2. His brow shivered as he turned solemn. He has a 4th-grade spiritual armor on him that my blood infant can't get through. The only way to hurt him was with Savage Moon, but Savage Moon is now in pieces. This was the first time since his rebirth that Zhuo Fan met such a danger to his life. The youth was in the 7th layer of bone tempering stage, had a spiritual weapon, had a spiritual armor, and even profound ranked martial arts. I can't punch through his defense and I can only take a beating. But the worst part was, the youth used all his power against someone weaker. Everyone was afraid of the serious types. This will make it even harder for him to make any mistakes for me to exploit. How do I fight him? Zhuo Fan stared down the figure while his forehead ran cold with sweat. Yet who'd have known that the youth's mental state mirrored his, maybe even more terrified. The youth was known as a genius among geniuses in his clan. He learned the sword all his life and never lost. But against Zhuo Fan, who was weaker, he was one move away from dying even when he exerted his all. If not for the spiritual armor, he'd be dead. Dead from a man weaker than him by a stage. He just couldn't get over this. He was an exceptional genius who could defeat a peak bone tempering expert in a single move. He was the clan's successor. How could? The youth's brow was sweating bullets and gnashed his teeth at Zhuo Fan. Brother, what is your name? Zhuo Fan was startled and saw the change in the youth's eyes. Guessing he wouldn't keep on wanting to kill them, he replied, Zhuo Fan, I'll remember you. We'll finish this the next time we meet. That youth sheathed his sword, took his burrowing mouse, and was about to leave. Zhuo Fan rushed to say, wait. The youth stopped. What is it? Dare I ask, brother, are you also here for the diamond sand? The youth stared at Zhuo Fan. What if I am? What if I'm not? Zhuo Fan smiled. If not, then let's part ways. If you want to work together. Work together? The youth frowned and took a long look at the two. How? Not even the 3 of us are enough to steal 1 speck of diamond sand. Not long back, this youth viewed them as nothing more than insects, but his words just now showed his respect for Zhuo Fan's strength as someone equal to him. Zhuo Fan grinned inside. We can negotiate like this. Brother has a burrowing mouse, so you plan to avoid fighting them. The youth smiled, so we had the same idea. I see why you wanted this guy, but this burrowing mouse is mine. What can you bring if we team up? The correct way of using the burrowing mouse. Zhuo Fan continued with a smile. How is brother going to use it to get the diamond sand? The youth squinted and replied with another question. How about you? Dig a tunnel, wait for the diamond sand to erupt, and we steal some. Xianxia spoke out of turn. But her response only earned the laughter of the two until her face went red. She glared. Why are you laughing? Am I wrong? The youth shook his head. Lady, they have a profound heaven expert, so how could it work? You'll be caught before you even make a move. Zhuo Fan nodded. In any case, my silly sister raised an option we definitely must avoid. What about you? Xianxia glared at Zhuo Fan for making fun of her, but her face became red again for some other reason. The youth spoke simply. Az, the diamond sand is pushed by the deep earth and comes out as a spring. I will have the burrowing mouse dig a small tunnel from the main course to direct a part of the diamond sand to me. Zhuo Fan clapped and Zhu Ningxiang praised the brilliance of it. Great plan. The youth smiled with pride, but Zhu Fan shook his head. If I were you, this would also be the best plan. The youth frowned. You have a better way then? Ha ha ha, of course. Why would I work with you if I didn't? Zhu Fan smiled as he continued. Your plan won't earn you even 1,000th. Since there are so many types of earth layers beneath us, the diamond sand will be stuck along the way and you will get even less. What's your idea then? The youth stared at him. With a mysterious smile, Zhu Fan stuck out his chin. If brother believes me, I can get all of it, leaving nothing to Hell Valley. We will later split it evenly. What do you say? How can that be? The youth watched them in shock, but Zhu Fan was confident. My skill is making impossible possible. This got the youth to recall Zhu Fan's close call in killing him and nodded. Fine, I believe you. How do we do it? Splendid. Zhu Fan laughed. We are now partners. How should I address brother? Zai Tianyang, the youth spoke loud and clear. Zhu Fan frowned. Zai. You mean you're from the 7 noble houses, Sword Marquis abode? Waving his hand, Zai Tianyang smiled vaguely, but they all figured out even if Zhu Fan didn't get to finish. Zhu Ningxiang watched the youth for a long time in shock. Second-rate clans like the Zhu clan relied on the protection of the 7 noble houses, just that she never got to leave Blue Expanse City, not once in her life, and the only 7 noble houses people she saw were from Hell Valley. Oh, brother Zhu, what house do you come from that you're so amazing? Zhu Ningxiang couldn't help but wonder as Zhu Fan was so young and yet no less powerful than Zai Tianyang. In fact, Zhu Fan could have struck this disciple of Sword Marquis abode dead if not for the spiritual armor. Thus, Zhu Fan had to be from a special background. Zai Tianyang also turned to Zhu Fan with eager eyes. He wanted to know just which house gave birth to such a monster. Zhu Fan shook his head with a smile. I'm no one important, just a small steward in the Luo clan of Wingay City. Steward, Luo clan, the two were shocked. Luo clan, never heard of it. Ha ha ha, it's quite normal for you to not know. Luo clan is just a third-rate clan. Zhu Fan smiled. This time, both of them eyed him with suspicion. They would never believe that a trifling clan could raise such an expert. Not even the imperial family and the 7 houses had many like him. Brother, if what you said is true, you are welcome to join Sword Marquis' abode. Zai Tianyang's eyes shined as he patted Zhu Fan's shoulder. It mattered little if Zhu Fan was being honest. He was an unpolished gem nonetheless. With Zhu Fan joining the Sword Marquis' abode, the Luo clan would one day be a second-rate clan, maybe even a peak second-rate with the house's assistance. The Sword Marquis' abode would at that time grow in power even more. For one of the 7 noble houses to personally ask for a clan to sign an agreement with them would stir all other small clans into crying if they found out. But Zhu Fan only disdained this act. Knowing where Zai Tianyang was going with this, Zhu Fan smiled. He, you're late. I already signed an alliance agreement with Veiled Dragon Pavilion. But if Sword Marquis' abode wants to sign a similar agreement, I'd be happy to oblige. What? Zhu Fan just dropped a bomb that shocked the other two to their cores. Alliance agreement, Veiled Dragon Pavilion. Why would Veiled Dragon Pavilion do this for a small clan? Zhu Ningxiang and Zai Tianyang took long skeptical looks at Zhuo Fan. From Zhuo Fan's reaction, it could be said he spoke the truth. But this news was too outrageous, even worse than if the heaven and earth switched places. The 7 noble houses could stand shoulder to shoulder with the imperial family. If they discovered a clan with great potential, signing a vassal agreement was more appropriate. But an alliance agreement only ever happened between the 7 noble houses. Yet this gap in power between the house and the clan breached by an alliance agreement made it look like the emperor went out to a beggar and called him brother. Such an act would make them, the 7 houses and the emperor, look like charitable folks, but this was fundamentally impossible. Just how did Zhu Fan do it? Zai Tianyang watched Zhu Fan closely but shook his head in the end. Brother, it's fine if you don't want to say it. But do you have to lie to us so openly? Zhu Ningxiang rolled her eyes while whining. Brother Zhu, we told you everything about us while you still keep your secret. This is not proper. Zhu Fan shook his head. The truth was taken as lies by others and he did not know how to respond. All right, brother Zhu, let's forget it. We'll be going our separate ways when this is over anyway, with little chance of meeting again. There's no need to know everything about each other. Then Zai Tianyang clapped. We had better listen to brother Zhu's plan. Zhu Fan nodded with a smile. He liked Zai Tianyang's attitude a lot. There was no eternal enemies and friends in the world, only benefits. They were friends now, thanks to a mutual goal, but tomorrow they might be on opposite sides. There was no need to know too much about each other. Quite the contrary, it would be best to hide one's secret and protect one's identity. Only Zhu Ningxiang pouted. Since we were brought together by fate, why can't we be friends? Zhu Fan and Zai Tianyang just smiled. Zhuo Fan then retrieved a piece of paper from his ring and began to write on it. 15 minutes later, a strange design adorned it. Zhu Ningxiang was looking puzzled, while Zai Tianyang was feeling more and more astonished with each brushwork. Zai Tianyang watched the finished design in shock. A first-grade array, B, but I've never seen this one in my life and I've seen my fair share. Zhuo Fan secretly nodded. Zai Tianyang was from the 7 houses, and just like Long Kui, he had learned of arrays from a young age. But few parts of this array were from an ancient era and not seen today. Thus he could not understand the array completely. Zai Tianyang studied the design for a long time, then looked at Zhuo Fan with a firm gaze. You're from the 7 houses, no, maybe even imperial. He wasn't certain because the more he got to know Zhuo Fan, the more Zhuo Fan's talent scared him. So much that he couldn't ascertain which house Zhuo Fan belonged to. He even felt the 7 houses couldn't have raised such a monstrous talent. Then the only one above the houses was the imperial family. Zhuo Fan shook his head. I already said it. It's up to you to believe or not, but now we're working together. Zai Tianyang gave a strained nod. Follow me. Zhuo Fan took out a map and walked ahead with the other 2 close behind. After half a day, Zhuo Fan reached a stream. He gave the area a once-over and nodded. Zhu Ningxiang and Zai Tianyang were filled with curiosity. This place was even farther away from the Golden Spring Pool and near the border to the second area in the Albeast Mountain Range. Albeast Mountain Range was split into 3 areas based on how dangerous the spiritual beasts were. The first area was the safest, with only first and second level spiritual beasts roaming around and the seldom third level. These were suited for foundation establishment and chi condensation cultivators to catch as spirit animals, and the Golden Spring Pool was in this area. The second area was the treasure hunting area, a place where third and fourth level spiritual beasts came and went as they pleased. Entering it while being below the bone tempering stage equaled death, but this area was filled with spiritual beasts, an important place from where strong experts got their spirit animals. The third area was deemed as the danger zone. The spiritual beasts here were of 5th and 6th level. Even a radiant stage expert would die here. As such, if one didn't have absolute confidence in his power, he would not step foot here. Zhuo Fan was now standing near the border between the first and second areas. Once they entered the second area, Zhu Ningxiang, with her chi condensation cultivation, would find death lurking at every corner. Zhuo Fan took a deep breath and nodded. This is it. Zhu Ningxiang and Zai Tianyang were puzzled, but Zhuo Fan waved. Brother Tianyang, I'll be counting on your burrowing mouse to dig a tunnel to the Golden Spring Pool. Then keep digging along this pattern. Zhuo Fan pointed on the map. This is where the Golden Spring Pool is. What? Zai Tianyang said, startled. For it to dig to the Golden Spring Pool is not a problem, but for it to arrange spirit stones and set an array. It will take more than 1,000 trips. Correct, 3221 to be exact. Zhuo Fan nodded. Burrowing mouse is small and can only carry 1 spirit stone at a time. This means it will take 3221 trips to set the array around the Golden Spring Pool. Zai Tianyang gasped and Zhu Ningxiang went slack-jawed. You want to work it to death. Even the burrowing mouse seemed to understand and collapsed on Zai Tianyang's shoulder. Shit, this punk is after my life. I can't do this idiotic thing or it'll be the death of me. Burrowing mouse shut its eyes. Even when it fell from the shoulder and landed on a rock, it wouldn't open them, though its twitching gave it away. Zhuo Fan smirked and ignored the critter while talking to its owner. Time is of the essence. Diamond sand could erupt at any minute, so get your critter step on it. Is there no other way? Zai Tianyang asked with a solemn expression. Zhuo Fan smiled. If you can snatch the diamond sand from right under their noses, then be my guest. Zai Tianyang watched the unmoving critter on the ground with pity. Zhuo Fan added an incentive. There's a lot more burrowing mouse where he comes from, but as for diamond sand, only if you listen to me will you make a killing. Spurred on, Zai Tianyang's eyes flashed and he nodded. Fine, it's just a first-level spirit animal anyway. Who would need it? Ha ha ha. The burrowing mouse jumped to its feet and pleaded to its owner with teary eyes. Master, how can you be so cruel? I'll end up working to the bone. But Zai Tianyang was too far gone to notice its gesture, as he and Zhuo Fan looked like demons with their manic grins at the poor critter. Zhu Ningxiang watched the cuddly and pitiful little one, and her heart swelled with love. She hugged it and comforted it as she glared at the 2 demons. But why would any of them care about a critter when diamond sand was at stake? At once, under the stately figure of its master, Zai Tianyang, the burrowing mouse was compelled to dig to Golden Spring Pool. In 15 minutes, a new pattern was beginning to emerge underneath the Golden Spring Pool, all according to Zhuo Fan's grand design. Yet the elder stationed at the Golden Spring Pool was oblivious to everything that was happening right underneath his nose. This was only the beginning for the oppressed burrowing mouse, which was forced to work itself into the ground. The only time the trio saw it was when it came for the next spirit stone. It could take it at first, but once it was finished with its first 100 stones, it was dog-tired that even its fur was slick with sweat. Around the 500th trip, the critter was gasping. Zhu Ningxiang's heart was bleeding, wanting to give the poor guy a rest. But Zhuo Fan and Zai Tianyang stood like demons, just like a landlord overlooking his peasants, making sure to leave them dead tired. Especially Zai Tianyang, having nothing but diamond sand in his head, he had no time to mind trifles like getting his spirit animal killed from overworking. This resulted with the burrowing mouse making trip after trip and Zhu Ningxiang giving it a sip of water on the sly out of pity, the only thing that she could do to ease its hell. In the eyes of the little guy, she became a goddess. It was starting to hate itself for choosing poorly. Its owner just heard Demon King Zhuo Fan's 2 cents and was hooked into sending it to its death. When it came out for the final time, it was close to breathing its last. Zhu Ningxiang hugged it and consoled it, letting it feel the joy of a survivor. Zhuo Fan smiled at Zai Tianyang. "See, I told you it'd be fine." Zai Tianyang sighed. "Yeah, but this guy would hate me to the bone after this. No choice. If we wanted to have the array in place within 3 days, the only choice was its sacrifice." Zhuo Fan shrugged. If he'd really died of work, then it wouldn't be treated as a first-level spiritual beast. Zhuo Fan stood up and his hand flashed as he deployed another array on the stream's bank. With a hand sign, the spirit stones in the ground lit up. An invisible ripple spread out and the 2 arrays, thousands of miles from each other, were now connected. At almost the same time, the elder at the Golden Spring Pool shivered and opened his eyes with suspicion. "What's going on? Why am I restless all of a sudden?" Next to the stream, Zhuo Fan revealed a wicked grin. "Only one more push. When the diamond sand erupts, Hell Valley's elder would get the shock of his life, hee. With everything in place, Zhuo Fan's party entered an idle period alongside Hell Valley's elder, waiting for the eruption of diamond sand. For a while, everything was quiet and peaceful. Zai Tianyang was feeling bored standing guard every day and thought of training his martial arts. But his worries about the diamond sand erupting and Zhuo Fan hogging it won over that feeling in the end. Because he knew Zhuo Fan's mannerism but not his intention, and because he didn't understand Zhuo Fan either, he held some mistrust. While Zhu Ningxiang seemed to have forgotten about the diamond sand and played with the burrowing mouse every day. Zai Tianyang tried to call the critter over, but the little guy gave him an eye roll, which only worked to embarrass him. It was his spirit animal, yet it was closer with Zhu Ningxiang. So he switched targets to Zhuo Fan, watching him with a perplexed look. Zhuo Fan was a riddle, be it his background or his origins. In no way would he believe Zhuo Fan's words of coming from a small clan. Among their group, Zhuo Fan was the calmest. Over the past 10 days, all he did was meditate, as if he didn't care about the diamond sand at all, while in fact it also concerned him the most. Zhuo Fan, in Zai Tianyang's mind, was becoming more valued, with how rare such a character existed in the Tianyu Empire. At least he didn't have the state of mind to cultivate while waiting for the diamond sand like Zhuo Fan. Cultivating with his anxiety and restlessness would only cause a deviation. While Zhuo Fan, Zai Tianyang scrutinized Zhuo Fan, feeling envy. A sudden sound woke Zhuo Fan up, at last the 6th layer of qi condensation. Zai Tianyang's cheek trembled and showed a resigned expression. To break through at such a crucial time, he would never reach Zhuo Fan's state of mind for years to come. This was how the trio spent the next month. Zai Tianyang was bored out of his mind. Zhu Ningxiang and the critter played like crazy, sporting smiles every moment, while Zhuo Fan sat there in meditation. Rolling his eyes, Zai Tianyang was driven to the point of insanity. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have pushed the burrowing mouse that hard. The critter broke up with him so thoroughly that it wouldn't even come to relieve his boredom. "Can't take it anymore," Zai Tianyang wailed. Then a sudden bang resounded across the mountain range and the ground started shaking. "It's time," Zhuo Fan jumped to his feet. Zhu Ningxiang, who was playing with the critter, was a bit startled and turned to Zhuo Fan and Zai Tianyang. But the two didn't look afraid, only excited. Hell Valley's 7th elder stationed at Golden Spring Pool flew higher. "Ha ha ha, I have waited 2 months for this." "Men, cast the nets to gather the diamond sand." The 7th elder roared and the bone-tempering guards bowed. "Understood." They then began throwing golden nets into the Golden Spring Pool until it was all shining golden. At the same time at the stream, Zhuo Fan asked, "Did you prepare a net?" "Ha ha ha, why would I come for diamond sand if I hadn't?" Zai Tianyang laughed and cast his net. Diamond sand erupted along with lava, and it needed special nets to filter it. Zhuo Fan also cast his own golden net into the stream. Zai Tianyang watched him doubtful. "Brother Zhu, what will you do now?" "Watch closely." Zhuo Fan smiled with confidence and his hand performed signs. Heaven and earth reverse, mountains and rivers switch, yin and yang shift, twin array exchange. The spirit stones laid underground shined ever brighter and each beam of light pierced the horizon. All around the golden spring pool, 32-21 light pillars towered towards the sky. The seventh elder felt uneasy, but as Diamond Sand's eruption was imminent, he had no time to mind parlor tricks and fixed his eyes on the hot spring's mouth. Suddenly, a column of water sprouted from the spring, just that the heat from it was far lower. People were stunned seeing this. Reason dictated that along with the eruption of Diamond Sand, lava should flow out too. The hot spring's water would be so hot that not even a bone-tempering expert should be able to approach. But why was there only plain water? Elder blinked in a daze, then face-palmed. Damn it, someone's playing us. He rushed higher in the air and saw thousands of light pillars in the distance. There, Elder seethed in rage as he charged. You're dead if you think you can play me. Meanwhile, the stream before Zhuo Fan's party was gone, replaced by a dark hole that was soon spewing lava along with fine and shiny particles. Diamond Sand, Zai Tianyang was overjoyed as he turned to Zhuo Fan in shock. Brother Zhuo, you're great. How is the Diamond Sand erupting here? Grinning, Zhuo Fan flatly said, this array is called Heaven and Earth Shift. It is a mere first-grade array, but it can reverse yin and yang, shift mountains and rivers. I only switched Diamond Sand's flow to here. Zhuo Fan said it dully, but Zai Tianyang was shocked to the core. As far as he knew, only 6th grade and above arrays could do that, and they were all lost. But Zhuo Fan not only did it, but used just a first-grade array in the process. He started to recall Zhuo Fan mentioning Veiled Dragon Pavilion's alliance agreement. It might not be far-fetched for Veiled Dragon Pavilion to make such an agreement if they knew of Brother Zhuo's outrageous talent. Zai Tianyang watched Zhuo Fan closely with a secret smile. He didn't think he'd meet such a man when he decided to get the Diamond Sand. There may not be a second person in the empire who can set this array. Zai Tianyang then spoke, Brother Zhuo, would you like to come into Sword Marquis's abode as a venerable? Xianxia was tongue-tied. Zhuo Fan was so young, yet he'd get to be a venerable in one of the 7 houses. Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes and almost made Xianxia stumble with his next words, save it. Veiled Dragon Pavilion tried it already and I refused them all the same. That's why they changed to having an alliance agreement. Brother Zhuo, you're showing off here. Xianxia clearly doubted his words. But Zai Tianyang nodded and said, all right, I will send someone with an alliance agreement when I get back. Where do I send it? Wingay City's Luo clan. I will return when I am finished with my affairs. Zai Tianyang hesitated. Then I will wait for your return. I want to sign it with you. With your skills, when you leave the Luo clan in the future, we won't lose out then. Zhuo Fan shook his head. Why are all 7 houses the same? Xianxia gasped as her face twitched. Sword Marquis's abode is so unruly. Why would they want to sign an agreement with an outsider? And it wasn't with a clan, but with a single man. But what escaped her thoughts was that precisely because Zai Tianyang was from the 7 houses that he valued Zhuo Fan so much. The average clan would never see Zhuo Fan's value. At this time, the dark cave let out a final eruption of lava. Seeing this, Zhuo Fan urged, get the nets. Why the hurry? Zai Tianyang waved and continued with a smile. The nets are made of spirit metal. They won't break in lava. Zhuo Fan snorted. You think I don't know that? If we don't go now, we may not have a life to enjoy it. Zai Tianyang was startled as Zhuo Fan continued. You think all elders from Hell Valley are blind? Who wouldn't notice the light pillars? Just wait, and you will have a profound heaven expert hovering overhead. Zai Tianyang rushed in with his hand signs to recover the net. As the nets rose, the trio saw the glitters among the lava. And on the net's threads was shining sand. What do we do now? Zai Tianyang was happy seeing the net, but was aware of the imminent danger. Zhuo Fan dragged them for 12 hours to this place for a reason most obvious to buy time. Even a profound heaven expert would need 2 hours to reach here. During this time, they could retrieve the diamond sand and leave. But where to run was the question, where was safe? Noticing Zhuo Fan gazing at the stream's opposite bank, the pair shouted, the second area. Wrong, Zhuo Fan said dryly. The third area? Gasping, the two stared at Zhuo Fan in a daze. Is this guy crazy? The second area is dangerous enough, but going to the third is suicide. But they both were oblivious to the fact that Zhuo Fan's aim from the start was in that area. Level spiritual beast, thunder skylark. We'll divide the diamond sand first, then flee. Zhuo Fan was getting eager to get his share of the spoils when he saw the glittering dust and gave the two the cold shoulder. Xianxia and Zai Tianyang smiled bitterly. Ever since they ran into Zhuo Fan, they were led by the nose. Zhuo Fan did whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. The same went for abusing the critter and setting an array to steal all diamond sand. But all turned out fine in the end. Everything he did was flawless and brought success. So despite Zhuo Fan making no sense, which added to their worry, the two believed he had a failsafe in place. So Zai Tianyang dropped the issue and was excited by all the glittering dust before him. Whoosh, the dust flowed like water out of the net and filled a 1-meter-tall bucket, and that was just a third. So everyone started taking out any containers they had from their rings, and the coveted diamond sand soon filled vessels of all shapes and sizes. Seeing such a haul, Zai Tianyang was smiling in excitement. At first, he hoped to use the burrowing mouse to get a bit of diamond sand, and now, with a weirdo like Zhuo Fan around, they got everything in no time at all. In refining a 5th-grade spiritual weapon, a handful of diamond sand was enough to raise its power, making it a top 5th-grade spiritual weapon. But with heaps of diamond sand, who knew how many such weapons could be made, and he could even add as much dust as he wanted in the refining process. When refining, people would add a gram, fuse it well, then add another gram, thereby increasing the amount of diamond sand progressively. With this much yield, it's even possible to make a pure diamond sand spiritual weapon, ha ha ha. Zai Tianyang started laughing. Despite his high position in Sword Marquis's abode and not being poor in the least, compared to the diamond sand before him, it was no different than being a beggar. Zhuo Fan saw Zai Tianyang laugh. His eyes flashed as he turned back to the glittering sand with a smirk. Sword Marquis's abode's disciples are ignorant of the world outside. Zhuo Fan then stashed half of the sand into his ring while he spoke in a flat tone. This is my share and the rest is yours. Zai Tianyang blinked, then smiled. No worries, it's fine if you take a bit more. They had struck it rich this time. So even with Zhuo Fan taking half, it was more than enough for the other two. But in the end, this wealth was divided in two, with Xianxia having no interest in it. Compared to having such a precious item, she'd rather get out of Blue Expanse City. Zhuo Fan only took his share, leaving hers untouched. Zai Tianyang secretly nodded and took the rest of the diamond sand and asked Zhuo Fan, how do we escape now? Whoosh. Zhuo Fan's hand held a small bottle and took 3 red pills out. He ate one and gave the rest to the 2. This is a 1st-grade pill, energy-concealing pill. It can hide our auras for a whole day and let us pass through the 2nd area while not attracting spiritual beasts. Zai Tianyang looked at the pill with amazement. That's great. Where did you get it? All Beast Mountain Range was a treasure trove that had the continent's cultivators drooling over for thousands of years. Too bad the spiritual beasts were a bit savage and kept the cultivators at bay. If they knew such a pill existed, they'd be fighting over it. Moreover, it was just a 1st-grade pill. As far as Zai Tianyang knew, the continent didn't have such a pill, or wouldn't the cultivators be flocking here by now? Xianxia was also amazed. Zhuo Fan scratched his nose. I made it, it is unique to me. Zai Tianyang shouted, you're a freaking alchemist too. Perhaps he was a bit too amazing that Zai Tianyang even had to resort to curses. But Zhuo Fan couldn't care less, which was evident from his shrug. Yep, the more skills the better. The shock got to Zai Tianyang so badly that his cheek was twitching. Who the hell is this punk? He's a chi condensation cultivator, yet can match me, a bone-tempering cultivator. And now he's an alchemist too. Not only that, but he also sets up a lost array and refines unprecedented pills. Until now he thought that he had met a paragon like himself, just another strong opponent like the few geniuses he found his match in the 7 houses. But with Zhuo Fan revealing that he was also an alchemist, gave Zai Tianyang's psyche a heavy blow. Next time around, he'd never say that he was a genius, at least not when Zhuo Fan was present. Zai Tianyang swallowed the pill and jumped across the stream and into the 2nd area. Let's go. Zhuo Fan and Xianxia were startled. What's up with him? They didn't know that this proud and conceited genius had just fallen from Cloud 9 all the way down into the mortal quagmire. 2 hours later, a gray figure landed next to the stream. It was the 7th elder. His face was red with rage when he saw the steaming lava, and his hawk eyes flashed with killing intent. Someone pulled the diamond sand here. Squinting, the 7th elder huffed a few times then calmed down, but the coldness on his face grew thicker. He looked around and muttered, they just got the diamond sand and shouldn't have run far. If they stayed in the 1st area, death was only a matter of time. Then, the 7th elder turned to the opposite bank with a sneer. Think you can get rid of me with parlor tricks. Then he soared into the 2nd area. 100 miles out, Zhuo Fan's party was running when a sudden cawing came from behind, followed by crows taking to the sky. Zhuo Fan stopped and looked back with a frown. What? Zai Tianyang and Xianxia also stopped. What's going on? Zhuo Fan muttered. That elder is charging right into the 2nd area. What? Zai Tianyang was anxious. What now? He will catch up in no time. Zhuo Fan sighed. I don't know. I thought that the elder would first search the 1st area after inspecting the lava, just to be sure, thus buying us enough time. Moreover, the 2nd area is notoriously dangerous, so I guessed he wouldn't come here to search so soon. That is why I picked this area to flee. And by the time he'd figure it out, we'd have a 6-hour lead. And for his safety in the 2nd area, he'd be flying far slower to avoid 4th-level spiritual beasts. At that point, we'd be in the 3rd area and he'd ultimately given up the chase. In that area, he will be in the same boat as us, food for the spiritual beasts, so he'd never go in after us. Zhuo Fan squinted, yet he went for the second area from the start. In this case, we only have 1 hour lead. If he catches up to us here, we're dead. Brother Zhu, haven't you heard of the 7th Elder and what he is famous for? Zai Tianyang asked. Zhuo Fan was startled. I only knew that a Hell Valley's elder was stationed here, but not the details. Sighing, Zai Tianyang shook his head. Know your enemy and yourself, and you shall win 100 battles. It's normal for you to make a mistake when you don't even know how dreadful the 7th Elder is. Dreadful? Zhuo Fan frowned. Zai Tianyang said in a severe tone, he is greatly admired in Hell Valley, and even Valley Lord Yu Wanshan consults with him. Or he wouldn't have left such an important city in the 7th Elder's charge. You're saying he's strong? Zhuo Fan's brow twitched. Zai Tianyang shook his head, not his strength but his schemes. He is cunning and deceitful, known as the insidious demon. His mind is filled with schemes. Many elders of the 7 houses have fallen in his ploys. Even Veiled Dragon Pavilion's elder Zhu lost his purple lightning gold eye because of the 7th Elder's plot. Many hate him to the bone, but even more fear him. No wonder Zhuo Fan's plan fell through. He is another who plays open schemes. This kind of plot is useless against him. But the die was cast, and Zhuo Fan's only choice was to beat him at his own game. Brother Zhu, our only choice is to leave Lady Ninger behind. With our speed, we may be able to escape the 7th Elder's clutches. Zai Tianyang's eyes flashed as he spoke firmly. Zhu Ningxiang shuddered and grabbed Zhuo Fan's arm with a pitiful look. Brother Zhu, you promised to get me out. Brother Zhu, this is not the time to be soft. Leave her behind, she will stall the 7th Elder while we escape. Zai Tianyang's mind was set. Zhuo Fan squinted as he contemplated, then sneered at Zai Tianyang. Humph, if not for my energy-concealing pill, you'd have thrown me away too. Zai Tianyang's mouth pursed. Zhuo Fan laughed it off and said, I won't abandon anyone. As for that elder, I have my way to deal with him. I will fight him right here with an array. Zai Tianyang nodded after a careful ponder. He knew of Zhuo Fan's skills in arrays and was certain that Zhuo Fan was an array grandmaster. Zhu Ningxiang was beaming as she heard him and was swinging Zhuo Fan's arm on and on with a red tint on her cheeks. But they both failed to notice Zhuo Fan's odd smile at the end. Whoosh, beneath the shade of the forest, a gray figure flitted by. The moment a spiritual beast saw him, it would jump on him with greedy eyes, but the beast would ultimately fall to the ground lifeless with an extra fist imprint on its chest. The 7th Elder's eyes turned darker, but his speed remained the same. Unlike Zhuo Fan, his flight attracted no little amount of trouble, yet this only left a trail of 3rd-level spiritual beasts' corpses behind. He was lucky enough that he did not meet a 4th-level spiritual beast, or it would have been a slightly different outcome. Whoosh, suddenly he landed in an open area. He checked for tracks, making sure nothing escaped his sight. Hee, 3 little brats, want to run? The 7th Elder sneered. He stood upright and scrutinized his surroundings with a cold eye. Will you come out yourselves, or shall I drag you out? His yell bathed the trees in killing intent and scared off nearby spiritual beasts. Ha ha ha, I see the 7th Elder is not without his reputation. No wonder you are called Insidious Demon, finding how many we are just from a few faint signs. I am in awe. Zhuo Fan's laughter resounded through the air. The 7th Elder frowned and paid closer attention. Kid, you have just entered the 6th layer of chi condensation. Good ears. The hidden Zhuo Fan felt his heart go cold. This elder was shrewder than he'd thought, a hard opponent, but he still kept his cool. 7th Elder must be tired after such a long chase, and fighting here will attract 4th-level spiritual beasts. It will be quite an annoyance to you. What if we strike a deal? Which is? The 7th Elder snorted and his cold eyes flitted around the area. Zhuo Fan smiled. 7th Elder chased us for so long, all for the diamond sand. If we give you half, are you willing to let us go? You must be joking. The diamond sand was mine to begin with. You want to bargain with what you stole from me. The 7th Elder laughed while being shrouded in thick killing intent. I will not only get my diamond sand, but wring the life out of you brats. Then the elder rushed towards a lush tree. He struck it with his palm and made it explode, to reveal Zhuo Fan sitting on the rock behind it. Hee, brat, you knew of my sharp hearing, yet still talked about conditions with me. The 7th Elder went for another palm attack, this time targeting Zhuo Fan. But the latter was calm as ever. He even smiled. Hee, I've never been afraid of revealing myself from the start. Zhuo Fan's hand shifted and, boom, with a loud noise from behind Zhuo Fan, a towering flame rose 50 meters high. And with a bird cry, it took the shape of a phoenix. It spread its wings and launched 2 fire pillars at 7th Elder. Array. The elder was startled as he didn't foresee the weak brat would know about arrays. From the look of its power, it had to be in 5th grade. No longer careless, he struck the pillars with his palms. Boom, raging flames exploded and the elder was thrown back with burned palms. Looking up, the elder's carefree eyes from before sported a hint of severity now. I took you lightly. The 7th Elder squinted. never imagining a sixth layer of chi condensation youth was a fifth-grade array master. Too bad it won't be enough to beat me, the seventh elder soared and made a sign. A fiendish demonic shadow rose behind him from the twisting black tendrils of energy. Wails echoed around him and made the temperature drop. Zhuo Fan's eyes squinted and his tone lowered. Such a malevolent demonic method, is this from Hell Valley's inheritance? He, why do the dead need to know so much? The seventh elder cackled and pointed. The demonic shadow rushed at Zhuo Fan with a shriek. Zhuo Fan responded with a hand sign. The fire phoenix cried and spat flames. Bam, flames and shadow collided in an anticlimactic way. When the fire touched the demon, hissing was heard as if it was met with ice. The seventh elder looked proud of this while Zhuo Fan squinted. Ninger now. A faint cry echoed, and from another side not far from Zhuo Fan, a fierce gale hammered through the woods and exposed Zhu Ningxiang sitting on a stone. At Zhuo Fan's call, she made the hand signs he had taught her. A chilling wind picked up and flew like a blade as it fused into the fire phoenix's attack. The fire pillar expanded 10 times in a blink and started pushing back the demonic shadow. The seventh elder's face turned grave and made hand signs to strengthen the demonic shadow. But with the help of Zhu Ningxiang, Zhuo Fan was getting the upper hand and the seventh elder started sweating. He never saw it coming. Another person was controlling the array, but before he could think of a countermeasure, Zhuo Fan shouted again. Zai Tianyang, he's yours. Ha ha ha, I was waiting for this. See how I splatter the brains of a profound heaven expert. Under Zai Tianyang's incessant cackling, lightning burst and revealed him sitting on the other side of Zhuo Fan and across from Zhu Ningxiang. Zai Tianyang made a hand sign and launched a 50-meter-long lightning dragon. With a roar, it flashed right into the demonic shadow. Boom! As lightning entered the shadow, it triggered an explosion. The demonic shadow could not overcome the multiple increases in power and was blown into black pieces, soon becoming nothing but ash. The seventh elder spatted blood. This defied all logic. Today, 3 brats hurt him. But the brats were far from done and battered him with the thunderflame gale again. If he didn't do something now, he'd be heavily wounded. He may even die. The seventh elder braced himself and waved the centipede-like chain that suddenly appeared in his hand. Boom! The thunderflame gale attack was blown away as the elder took a few steps back. Zhuo Fan's side also shivered as each of them felt blood stagnating in their chest. It was a tie. 4th-grade demonic treasure? Zhuo Fan turned serious. The seventh elder gasped and barked, good, well done. I've traveled the world for so long, but today 3 brats have reduced me to this state. He turned to Zhuo Fan. I admit you're strong. If we continue, it will end with both sides dead. It's better to take your previous deal. Give me half of diamond sand and I will go. The 3 exchanged glances. Zhu Ningxiang and Zai Tianyang didn't want to offend Hell Valley and nodded. Zhuo Fan showed an amiable smile. All right, let's make the deal. He then jumped off the stone. The seventh elder took back his weapon and flew towards Zhuo Fan. When they were 10 meters apart, suddenly both their eyes flashed with murderous intent. Die, brat, finish him. Shouting at the same time, the seventh elder revealed his demonic treasure and flung it at Zhuo Fan while the latter made hand signs. The flames and the centipede chain clashed. Zai Tianyang and Zhu Ningxiang were startled. Even though they missed the first clash, they soon sent lightning and wind blade toward the elder. The seventh elder couldn't dodge and had to destroy their attacks with his chain once again, but he was also forced to retreat to the skies. Eyeing Zhuo Fan, the elder's face turned green and white from rage. Bastard, who would believe you? He takes a demonic cultivator to no one, Zhuo Fan smirked. Zhu Ningxiang and Zai Tianyang witnessed this in a daze. Who the hell are they? One is more despicable than the other. None of them is worth trusting. Both of them had only one thought since the beginning, kill. They're too damn vile, treacherous, insidious. Had one of them trusted the other, then their side would have died by now. This thought made the 2 gasp and their eyes darted at Zhuo Fan. Thank God we have one just as vile and insidious among us, or we'd be dead for sure. I need to calm down first. The seventh elder took a deep breath and inspected the area with wrinkled brows. He found that the recovery of diamond sand was becoming a headache, and when he knew the trio ran into the second area, he confirmed it. With his experience, he could easily discover their meager cultivation, and with the highest among them being the 7th layer of bone-tempering stage, it was no different than squeezing 3 insects. What was unbelievable, though, one of them had a deep knowledge of arrays along with a cunning mind, unlike a rash and ignorant youth he posed to be. This led to the current predicament. With the 3 working together to control the array, he would never get the upper hand. However, he thought of something and his hawk eyes flashed sinisterly. You are Zhu clan's 3rd young miss. The 7th elder ignored Zhuo Fan and switched targets, sizing Zhu Ningxiang with a smile. I remember seeing you 5 years ago. You were just a child back then. My, how you've grown into a fine lady. Zhu Ningxiang's heart seized and lowered her head to avoid his piercing gaze. Zhuo Fan shouted, "Seventh Elder, if you have something to say it to my face. Don't go around scaring girls." Yet the Seventh Elder's eyes never left Zhu Ningxiang. "Ninger, why do you bother going against me? Zhu clan is a vassal of Hell Valley. We always took care of your Zhu clan. And yet here you are, resorting to this." His eyes flashed with murder as he spoke. Zhu Ningxiang shivered and could no longer keep the hand sign up. Zhuo Fan knew that the Seventh Elder was threatening Zhu Ningxiang and rushed to say, "Attack." He and Zai Tianyang synced their hand signs, launching lightning and fire at the Seventh Elder. But Zhu Ningxiang was still in a daze, her hands trembling. Zai Tianyang thought, "Damn, Zhu Ningxiang is worried for her clan and has no will to fight. Without the wind's help, there'll be a sharp decline in power." The Seventh Elder was fighting a psychological battle, grasping the trio's weakness. Fire and lightning combined as it neared the Elder, but his centipede chain just flew at it and the attack was nulled. The Seventh Elder stood still in the sky while Zhuo Fan and Zai Tianyang spat blood. "Ha ha ha, that's better," the Seventh Elder cackled. "Ninger, you made the right choice. These brats will wash their hands over this and leave from here while your clan will stay forever." Zhuo Fan looked at the shivering Zhu Ningxiang and urged, "Ninger, don't listen to the old goat. He knows who you are and will destroy your clan either way. The only way to save the Zhu clan is to kill him here and now. Remember my words, the Thunderflame Gale array needs 3 people to work together, and as long as the 3 are in sync, not even a profound heaven expert can escape." Another shiver reeked Zhu Ningxiang's frail body, and now she stood still. The Seventh Elder's words scared her, but she had finally recovered. Zhuo Fan smirked and shouted, "If this old coot lives, your clan is no more." Boom. His words echoed in her ears, and Zhu Ningxiang rose her head to show killing intent for the first time as she muttered non-stop, "He can't leave. He has to die, he must die." Zhu Ningxiang roared the last word and completed the hand sign. A green panther roared behind her and sped towards the Seventh Elder, 10 times stronger than before. The Elder panicked, noticing the true power of the array in Zhu Ningxiang's hands. From the start, the 2 brats used all they had in fighting me, yet she hadn't. Zhu Ningxiang was a kind and gentle soul, not willing to kill even her enemy. But the Seventh Elder's words struck a chord in her frail heart that she was close to losing her will for fighting. It was then that Zhuo Fan woke her up and lit a fire in her. The dissonance in her heart led to unleashing her full power. To protect her clan, Zhu Ningxiang turned cold and unfeeling like a reaper. She was willing to do anything and everything to make sure the old geezer died here. Zhuo Fan and Zai Tianyang smiled and launched their own attacks. Fire, wind, and lightning combined at their strongest into an overpowering strike that threatened to consume the Seventh Elder. Even the calm and collected Seventh Elder was starting to feel fear. He hastily lifted the centipede chain and lashed. Boom! A huge explosion shook the entire second area, and even the sky seemed to collapse. Some 4th-level spiritual beasts even fled. The Seventh Elder, who was caught in the middle, was blasted a dozen meters with his hair and beard singed as he spat blood. But this time, the blood evaporated before it touched the ground. It was proof of the intensity of the attack that pierced his inner organs. With such a heavy wound, just one more and he'd be done for. For the first time, the Seventh Elder panted with fear in his eyes. Not even he could foresee that the array needed just the girl to flip out for unleashing its full power, but he understood that he would not be able to take more of such attacks. He's on his last leg. Ninger, Zai Tianyang, get ready. We'll finish him off. Zhuo Fan laughed as he made another hand sign, but a sudden green panther beat him and Zai Tianyang to the punch. All Zhuo Fan saw was Zhu Ningxiang going crazy and making signs on and on as she raved, "He has to die, he must die. Damn, this girl has lost it. I managed to spur her on, but now she is too far gone. Her only thought is to kill the old goat, even disregarding cooperation with her allies." Her action was limiting the array's power. The Seventh Elder noticed this weakness and smiled as he charged for Zhu Ningxiang. He was only facing a wind panther, and without the other 2 elements, he could breeze through it. With a swing of the centipede chain, the panther was no more. "Quickly help Ninger," Zhuo Fan panicked as he formed hand signs alongside Zai Tianyang. Once again, lightning and fire came at the Seventh Elder, yet such lack of cooperation lost the array's advantage, and the Seventh Elder dealt with it easily. He flung the centipede chain, removing this nuisance, and appeared before Zhu Ningxiang, but she sank in, making hand signs. The Seventh Elder snorted and clutched her neck, lifting her off the ground. Zhu Ningxiang began suffocating, and her hands slowed down. "Crazy girl, you almost had me killed. Consider yourself lucky since you still have some use, or I'd have killed you already. Ninger." Zhuo Fan and Zai Tianyang stood up with worry. The Seventh Elder mocked them. "What are you brats called anyway? Sit tight, I will deal with you in a moment." Zhuo Fan clenched his fists. Cough, cough, cough. Zhu Ningxiang coughed, looking at Zhuo Fan with pleading eyes. "Kill him, don't let him harm my father." Hee hee hee, what a carrying daughter. You're still thinking about your father. Too bad these two brats have no way of killing me. Once I get back, I'll make sure to wipe the Zhu clan for good. Tears glistened down Zhu Ningxiang's cheeks. Zai Tianyang's heart hurt and roared in anger. Hell Valley Elder, does one of your stature even know what shame is to raise your hand on a defenseless girl? Hee hee hee, there's no such thing as shame in a demonic cultivator's vocabulary. The seventh elder cackled and turned to Zhuo Fan. Brat, you're just like this old man, stirring this girl's will to fight with a few words. I would have taken you as my disciple if not for us being enemies. You hurt my friend, so you must die by my hands. Zhuo Fan's tone was irreproachable. Zai Tianyang, get ready to strike. But Ninger. Also agreed. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed with a hard look. Zai Tianyang felt cold as he looked at Zhuo Fan, then saw the pleading eyes of Zhu Ningxiang and sighed. This old man must die, or he will slaughter the Zhu clan and Ninger won't ever find peace, even in death. Zai Tianyang then yelled as he made hand signs. The lightning dragon roared as it encroached on the seventh elder. Zhuo Fan, with his red eyes, also shouted, and the phoenix behind him spread its wings. This was the strongest power they managed to unleash through their cooperation. But to all this, the seventh elder's answer was disdain. Humph, I have already figured out this array. Without wind, just you two are nothing. Zai Tianyang gnashed his teeth. Would our full power attack amount to nothing? Would we meet our end at his hands? Furthermore, Ninger's clan would be doomed. But Zhuo Fan revealed an evil grin, who said we lacked wind. His hands shifted through the signs, and the seventh elder was swallowed by a tornado, turning his immediate surrounding into a wind prison. Then came the lightning dragon and fire phoenix. Boom. Fire and lightning mixed, erupting in a spectacular fashion on contact with the tornado, burning everything within into nothing. This display of power was twice as strong as their best attack. This time the elder should be dead. Zai Tianyang watched it all at a loss. How the wind appeared. Zhuo Fan smiled. Unlike someone who just lost a friend, I told you before that I can't control the fifth grade array by myself and need all three of us to work together, right? Well, I lied. That seventh elder would have seen through you, and I couldn't have deceived him in the end. What all was a lie? Zai Tianyang stammered. Zhuo Fan smiled. Insidious demon is beyond sharp. He is Hell Valley's sage. If I fight him alone, defeat is certain. So I arranged for you two to work with me in controlling the array and help conserve power. But this wasn't without its weakness. Us three had to be in full cooperation to unleash its greatest power. Him being the insidious demon, he would find this out with ease and would target the weakest among us. It's clear Ninger is that person and he would attack her. But he would have never guessed Ninger was the bait I laid out for him. So he fell right into my trap. Why you're saying that you had planned on giving up on Ninger from the start? Zai Tianyang gasped. Zhuo Fan felt like a stranger to him. He still recalled how Zhuo Fan yelled at Ninger, I won't leave anyone behind. His eyes filled with righteousness. Was it all an act? What's with that look? Zhuo Fan sneered, didn't you say to leave Ninger behind and flee, that she was a burden? I only thought of a more appropriate use of this burden. What of your promise to her? Zai Tianyang swallowed dryly. I heard you promised Ninger to take her outside the city. Zhuo Fan waved it off. The result's the same, be it living or otherwise. Seeing Zhuo Fan's casual manner, Zai Tianyang felt numb and a chill crawled up his spine. After working together for over a month, he had thought that he somewhat understood Zhuo Fan's character. But now it felt like he was talking to a stranger. Such sheer cruelty made him, a seventh layer of bone-tempering expert, feel more fear than facing a radiant stage expert. But laughter came from amidst the thunderflame gale prison. Ha ha ha, kid, you're just like me. Selfish, cruel, heartless, and won't even hesitate to use your own men. Even I'm feeling a bit afraid of you. Boom, the thunderflame gale prison blew away with a loud noise to reveal the sinister, smiling seventh elder. Yet now he held another centipede chain in his hand, this one black. The two chains formed a helix around him, sparing his life from the dreadful attack. But even so, his body was littered with burn marks, and one could even see the bone in some places as blood seeped out. It was obvious that he survived because of these chains, and that too against the true power of the thunderflame gale array. After spitting some burning blood, the seventh elder gasped, but his wicked eyes never left Zhuo Fan for a moment. Kid, I have always been quick to pick up on things related to my enemies everywhere I went, but today you almost had me killed. I have to admit, I never met such dreadful brat in my life. Zhuo Fan looked over to see Zhu Ningxiang unconscious at his feet. But she wasn't dead. Perhaps the chain helix protected her the same way it protected the elder, but it wasn't like Zhuo Fan cared if she lived or died. He just kept staring at the black centipede chain. You have another fourth-grade demonic treasure. Hee, I used to have only one. The seventh elder joined the two centipede chains together to form a black and white chain. This fourth-grade demonic treasure, yin-yang chains, are of one body. I usually attack with the yang chain and use the yin chain to kill my enemy at the right time. But to save myself today, you forced me to reveal my yin chain. You should be proud of that. Even profound heaven experts only figure out the truth at the moment of their deaths. Zhuo Fan gnashed his teeth. The insidious demon title fits you like a glove. You were willing to suffer a heavy wound just to keep this move hidden. But of course, the seventh elder coughed blood twice, but his face still retained the sinister smile. With how the world is filled with lies and schemes, I prefer to keep my strongest move hidden. That is why my ploys always succeed while the ones against me fail. But today is the exception. The seventh elder's eyes flashed and threw the yang chain at Zhuo Fan and the yin chain at Zai Tianyang as he roared, "Too bad you're out of tricks and can't beat me. I beg to differ." Zhuo Fan smirked and made a hand sign, making a bloody light fly out of Zhu Ningxiang towards the seventh elder. The elder was seriously hurt and the chains were far away. Zhuo Fan watched him like a hawk just to find if he also had a defensive demonic treasure. This way he could put Blood Infant to good use. In his sorry state, if Blood Infant was to get inside the seventh elder, he'd be refined without even a means to resist. This was Zhuo Fan's true killing move. Even the Thunderflame Gale Prison was only used as bait to reveal all the elder's cards. Zhuo Fan refused to believe a man with the insidious demon fame had no hidden means to save himself. Demonic creature. On the other hand, the seventh elder was startled by the bloody light. He now figured out what Zhuo Fan really intended when he said Zhu Ningxiang was the bait. It wasn't just to trap him in the Thunderflame Gale Prison, but to also hide a killing move. With how close he was to her, he had no way of dodging. Insidious Demon had to admire Zhuo Fan's cunning mind for beating him at every turn. Zhuo Fan was expectant of victory as he smiled. "It's over, seventh elder. This fight is my win." Suddenly, the seventh elder's yang chain pierced through Zhuo Fan's chest. He felt his heart being crushed. A large hole was left behind on his body, with pieces of his heart here and there. "This is impossible." Zhuo Fan was confident that the Blood Infant would gain control of the seventh elder once it entered him, also stopping the yang chain's attack. But the truth was, the chain never stopped. Zhuo Fan even felt his organs withering and seeping life force. This wasn't caused by the chain, but by Blood Infant's injury. Puking blood, Zhuo Fan watched in shock as Blood Infant hung behind the seventh elder. A flash of silver revealed a needle impaling Blood Infant's chest. Third-grade demonic treasure, Twisted Needle. The seventh elder sneered at Zhuo Fan and pulled back the twisted needle into his elbow. Blood Infant collapsed and Zhuo Fan fell to his knees. His eyes were filled with dread. He couldn't believe he just lost. Bam! A sound was heard from the side. Zai Tianyang struggled for his life, but the yin chain lashed over his chest and he was now spitting blood. It was thanks to his spiritual armor that he was still breathing. Ignoring the rest, the seventh elder walked to Zhuo Fan calmly. "Kid, I am known as the insidious demon. How can anyone outsmart me?" The seventh elder watched the dying Zhuo Fan. "You're good, real good. Your schemes even make me feel fear. In a decade or two, you will become an outstanding demonic cultivator. Not even the #1 sage in Tianyu can compare to you. A pity you won't live so long because I am afraid of what you'll become. You are the first to ever make me feel this way." He was about to land the finishing blow. "You might die at my hand, but do not feel bad. Our cunningness is about the same, but I am stronger. In front of true power, all tricks, all methods are moot." The seventh elder's palm came from above, and Zhuo Fan could even hear the whistling wind. He didn't want to die, but he had nothing left to fight with. A loss was a loss, be it in power or cunningness. And the one to lose died, but he had so many things he wanted to do. So what? The loser never had a choice to begin with. Closing his eyes, Zhuo Fan took one last breath and blacked out. Roar. A sudden roar shook the entire Albeast mountain range, and the seventh elder's palm stopped an inch above Zhuo Fan's head. Along with the roar, a wave of flames came to engulf everything. It swallowed trees and left empty husks behind. The seventh elder was startled. Looking towards the third area, he said with uncertainty, "Why is this monster coming to the second area?" Taking another look at the hopeless trio, he gnashed his teeth and fled, even disregarding the diamond sand. A bird cry soon followed, and the skies darkened. A huge bird wing trailed above, overshadowing the earth. The spiritual beasts shivered in their caves. The huge bird's wing burned blue, and each flap sent sparks everywhere. Wherever the sparks landed, flames torched all of it into nothing. The previously lush forest was now reduced to ash after the bird passed. Not even bones were left of the fourth-level spiritual beasts touched by the flames. The huge bird flew for a while, then left, but the forest beneath it was no more. Zhuo Fan and the other two were lying unconscious among the ashes. Some spiritual beasts passed by, but finding them dead, they left. In fact, it was thanks to the energy-concealing pill that hid their auras. Cough, cough, cough. With a light cough, Zhu Ningxiang strained her eyes open, but shock swept her heart. Why is the forest gone and only ash remained? The seventh elder couldn't have done this. She looked around in haste for Zhuo Fan and Zai Tianyang and saw them lying unconscious. Zhuo Fan had the most critical injury, bleeding from the hole in his chest. He wasn't too far from breathing his last. Brother Zhu Ningxiang was on Zhuo Fan with a cry and turned him over to see the fist-sized wound in his chest, which went all the way through his back. His face paled by the second and his temperature dropped. Tears welled in Zhu Ningxiang's eyes and fell along with her anxious voice. Brother Zhu, wake up, wake up. Perhaps it was the soft tears or the incessant shouts grating on his ears that made Zhuo Fan crack his eyelids. Brother Zhu, you're awake, Zhu Ningxiang was glad. Zhuo Fan moved his lips but was too weak to even let out words. Watching her tear-stained face, Zhuo Fan took a deep breath and squeezed his last drop of energy into pointing, but his hands soon fell limp. Zhu Ningxiang caught his gesture and saw blood infant in a pool of blood. You want me to bring it over? She asked. Zhuo Fan blinked weakly, the only thing he could do in his current state. Zhu Ningxiang thus marched to blood infant and was soon back with it in her arms. She then placed it on the hole in Zhuo Fan's chest. Blood infant flashed red and was back in Zhuo Fan's body. He let out a breath as his complexion started improving slightly. His and blood infant's lives were shared, so much so that its wound was far more important than his own injury. As long as blood infant was fine, him suffering heavy wounds would matter little. But now blood infant's life hung by a thread. Without his blood essence, he could only keep it alive for a short while longer. He was in a worse condition too and had no way to save it, but as blood infant was kept alive, a bit of energy returned to him. Be blood, Zhuo Fan whispered hoarsely. Zhu Ningxiang paused a moment, then cut her wrist with a dagger and brought her hand to Zhuo Fan's lips. The girl's blood dripped in Zhuo Fan's mouth and he slowly recovered a bit more energy. Zhu Ningxiang let out a relieved sigh and even sported a faint smile, but Zhuo Fan suddenly bit her wrist, sucking the blood out. Zhu Ningxiang braced through the pain and let him have his fill. Time passed, but Zhuo Fan's appetite didn't drop. Zhu Ningxiang's face paled and was even getting woozy. She knew it was from the blood loss, but she didn't stop him. When Zhuo Fan finally let go and gasped for fresh air, he saw Zhu Ningxiang's pale countenance and felt complicated. Thank you. Zhuo Fan now had the strength to speak, thanks to the blood. Zhu Ningxiang smiled. She was feeling weak, but her smile looked mesmerizing to Zhuo Fan. Recalling his previous act, his heart began to feel guilt. With a thought, a blue bottle flashed in his hand. Ninger, these are third-grade heart-protecting pills. Give me one, you take the second, and give the third to the kid if he isn't dead. Zhu Ningxiang nodded and fed the first pill to him. She checked Zai Tianyang and found him alive. Excited, she fed him a pill, but saved hers. Zhuo Fan was laid on the ground, but his heart was clear. Ninger, you are also hurt. Why aren't you taking it? Ninger shook her head. It's only a scratch. This pill is too precious and it's better used on you too. Ha ha ha, not in the least. It came from Veiled Dragon Pavilion anyway, so don't worry. Zhuo Fan smiled. He came to All Beast Mountain Range prepared, not only in spirit stones, but also in pills. Since the Imperial family and Veiled Dragon Pavilion were providing the Luo clan with stuff, he had everything besides the truly rare pills. Some of his pills were something not found even in the entire Tianyu Empire, refined by yours truly. I didn't think I'd use them so fast. Ninger, take it, it's yours. A snort came and Zhu Ningxiang turned towards Zai Tianyang. He was also worse for wear, not life-threatened like Zhuo Fan, but he couldn't move still. He would need 3-5 months to heal. Zhuo Fan couldn't budge, but neither could he. Even so, his fear of Zhuo Fan wasn't that high and said with a clipped tone, Ninger, this big brother Zhuo wanted to use you as bait from the start. This is his just deserts. When Zhuo Fan exposed his plan, she was already unconscious in the Thunderflame Gale prison explosion. But hearing it now, she was startled and looked at Zhuo Fan with the hope that he'd deny. She refused to believe that brother Zhuo, who stood by her side for over a month, would be so cruel as to throw her away. She hoped this was a misunderstanding, that Zhuo Fan would refute Zai Tianyang's claims. But Zhuo Fan remained silent, and his cold eyes refused to meet hers for the first time. With tears welling, Zhu Ningxiang forced her sorrow down, but her heart felt like being stabbed with a knife. She didn't realize when, but Zhuo Fan meant a lot to her. She didn't feel hate for being cast out, but pain. Sensing her pain, Zhuo Fan hesitated. Ninger, it's fine, you don't need to say anything. Zhu Ningxiang wiped her nose and forced a smile. I know brother Zhuo is brave and smart, that all went according to your plan. I'm sure it's a misunderstanding. She whipped her head around and left. I'm going to look for branches and make a stretcher. We can't keep staying here. Watching her walk away like nothing had happened, Zai Tianyang rose an eyebrow. Hey, Ninger, you're going to forgive him just like that. He is hurt and can't move. Now's your chance for revenge. Yet Zhu Ningxiang didn't return. Zai Tianyang wanted to yell again, but then Zhu Fan's snort came, zip it. If you want to die, just ask. Humph, you have it worse than me. Let's see you try. Zai Tianyang put up a tough front, but fear gnawed his heart because of the naked killing intent laced in Zhu Fan's words. Seeing with his own eyes how Zhu Fan had fought the seventh elder, he knew the horror Zhu Fan could unleash. Despite losing, Zhu Fan played with that insidious demon to such a state. He felt both fear and hatred towards Zhu Fan, hate for his unfeeling heart to his friends and fear from his cunning mind. But then a new feeling triumphed them both, something the genius disciple of Sword Marquis Abode never felt before, awe. Zhu Ningxiang was soon back with wood and made 2 stretchers. When she placed them both on each, Zhu Fan wanted to apologize but swallowed his words when he saw her avoiding him. Rumble. With a thunderclap, the rain started pouring down on the ashen forest and helped the saplings grow. Zhu Ningxiang tied the stretchers with rope and trudged through the mud. Because of the heavy rain, the rough mountain path, and the blood loss, she fell down again and again. But she pressed on like a machine, dragging them ever forward. The 3 never spoke a word the entire time. Even Zai Tianyang's complaints about taking revenge fell silent. The 2 felt worse and worse the more they saw Zhu Ningxiang's pale face as she pulled them. Zai Tianyang was the first to mention casting her away for being weak. Zhu Fan went a step further by rejecting the idea in a dignified manner, only to throw her out as bait not much later. And now the 2 were in dire straits, useless for months to come. But Zhu Ningxiang's heart remained steady and firm, never abandoning them. The 2 felt heavy in their hearts from the huge debt they had for her. How can we ever repay it? On the muddy and slick mountain road, a bump appeared and the burrowing mouse revealed itself. It ran towards Zhu Ningxiang as soon as it came out. Now that she saw the little guy, her smile came back on her face, since losing it when she found of Zhu Fan's betrayal. Afraid of Critter's suffering, she drove it away before their fight with the 7th elder, but now it came back. The little guy was jumping around her leg in joy, then skipped ahead of her. Zhu Ningxiang guessed that it was showing the way and dragged the stretchers to a cave. Happy, she pulled the 2 people into the cave for sheltering from the rain and healing their wounds. But Zhu Fan looked around once and shouted in panic, "We can't stay here, we have to leave now." Fan spoke while gazing at the weeds around the cave. "That is soothing grass. That's perfect, it can help relieve fatigue. What is wrong with that?" Zai Tianyang asked. Zhu Fan said annoyed, "That's true for humans, but for spiritual beasts it has a calming effect that attracts nearby spiritual beasts." Zai Tianyang was anxious, "That means trap?" Zhu Fan nodded, "Yes, a trap made by predators. The burrowing mouse was drawn here and led us right to it. Curses, you can just bury your head and run, but we'll have to suffer." "Why had I taken you in any way?" Zai Tianyang snapped at the critter. He wasn't as brash usually, but he was now hurt and powerless to resist an attack. In this grim state, falling in a trap was the last straw. To escape from the 7th elder yet die in a beast's trap was something this genius disciple couldn't accept. The burrowing mouse squeaked a few times with a lowered head. Zhu Ningxiang hugged it to her chest and spoke softly to Zhu Fan. "What do we do now?" She had ill feelings towards Zhu Fan, but she always turned to him for help when the going got tough. "What else? Run!" Zai Tianyang cut him off. Zhu Fan asked hastily, "What time is it?" Zhu Ningxiang looked outside the cave, but the rain clouds blocked the sky. She shook her head. "I'm not sure, a day must have passed by now." "Damn," Zhu Fan said gravely. "The energy-concealing pill must have worn off and we are now easy targets. I'm guessing beasts must be coming here in droves." "What?" Zai Tianyang jumped. "You said droves?" Zhu Fan nodded. "The truly strong spiritual beasts don't stoop so low to use this trick. Only low-level spiritual beasts place traps and move in packs." Just then, along with the sound of rain, roars of beast echoed, and several pairs of cruel eyes fixed on the cave's mouth. A rough look would spot around 1,000 heads. "Bloodthirsty wolves," Zhu Fan sighed. "We're finished." Bloodthirsty wolves are 2nd-level spiritual beasts, but with their numbers, they must have a 3rd-level wolf king among them. Not even a 4th-level spiritual beast would dare to mess with them. Zai Tianyang saw the faint green eyes getting ever closer. "Woe is me. Heaven must be jealous of my outstanding talent and wants to pluck me." Zhu Ningxiang looked worried while Zhu Fan had his trademark unflappable expression. "Zai Tianyang," Zhu Fan said, "give your sword to Ninger." "Ninger?" Zai Tianyang didn't understand. "My star sword may be a 4th-grade spiritual weapon, but Ninger is in the chi condensation stage. It's not enough to deal with those savage beasts." He spoke of the difference in cultivation and leveled his eyes at Zhu Fan. "She isn't like you, fighting bone tempering and profound heaven experts while in chi condensation stage." Zhu Fan smiled. "Ninger won't be fighting the beasts, but escaping their encirclement." He took out a bottle from his ring, but didn't have the strength to lift it. "Ninger, take this energy-concealing pill." Zhu Fan spoke calmly. Use it to leave all Beast Mountain range once you break the encirclement, but don't go to your clan. Leave the city. Zai Tianyang now understood Zhuo Fan's plan, so he too took out his star sword. Their debt to Ning'er was too great, and at this point they were nothing but dead weights. Seeing their firm gazes, Zhu Ningxiang took the sword and ran outside. Both Zai Tianyang and Zhuo Fan revealed a smile, feeling a weight being lifted off their chests. This way, we can repay her kindness. Even if we die, we can do it free of regrets, Zai Tianyang mumbled. Zhuo Fan spoke blandly. I don't care about returning favors, just felt unwilling to die like this. I just don't want this girl to keep looking after me. Humph, how cold-hearted, Zai Tianyang snapped. After that short banter, the two were at peace, waiting for the bloodthirsty wolves to devour them. But then wails came, followed by blood splattering on both of them. When they looked towards the mouth of the cave, they were shocked to see Zhu Ningxiang standing guard at the entrance. Some bloodthirsty wolves were circling around trying to enter but were cut down by her. With her standing guard and this being the only entrance, the wolves were kept at bay. Ning'er, what are you doing? Zhuo Fan shouted. Zhu Ningxiang slashed and 3 more wolves fell. She looked back with a shy smile. See, with me standing here, they will never get in. Idiot, those are nothing but cannon fodder. The Wolf King wouldn't care if they died. He's trying to tire you out before killing you, Zhuo Fan cursed, but his eyes were filled with worry. Zhu Ningxiang smiled. That Wolf King is a beast uncaring for his pack, but you are my most important friends. I won't abandon you. She killed another 2 incoming wolves. Because of the blood loss and the fatigue of carrying the 2, she felt weak and pale. She was shaking with the wind and seemed like she might collapse any second. Yet her eyes were headstrong. Zhu Ningxiang slashed again and again, piling wolf corpses at her feet in a pool of blood. Her brows were drenched, her breathing haggard, her arms numb, but her back remained straight against the incoming storm. Watching her frail body, Zhuo Fan's eyes filled with warmth. He closed his eyes, not wishing to see the end as pain laced his heart. Zhuo Fan, Zai Tianyang yelled, I just realized we're both damn bastards. Zhuo Fan groaned a response. Zai Tianyang looked over to Zhu Ningxiang braving outside, and he also closed his eyes. Ah, Zhu Ningxiang let out a cry as a wolf bit her wrist when her strength failed her. It then pinned her to the ground. Then another wolf pounced on her other hand. She wanted to get up and keep fighting, but felt too weak to move. She had surpassed the limits of her body long ago and was now powerless to deal with 2 weak wolves. She couldn't even feel the blood flowing out from the bite wounds on her hands. Zhuo Fan and Zai Tianyang knew this was going to happen, but kept their eyes closed. They wanted to be spared from the sight of the girl getting mauled. While 2 wolves pinned her arms, the rest were closing in as Zhu Ningxiang's breathing grew faint. If they could, the 2 in the cave would have covered their ears. In celebration of a successful hunt, the pack howled and the Wolf King, 3 times bigger than the rest, strutted before Zhu Ningxiang. Licking its fangs, the Wolf King howled and opened its maw to ravage Zhu Ningxiang. With her eyes blacking out, all she could see were vague shapes. Zhuo Fan and Zai Tianyang still had their eyes closed. Roar. Just as the Wolf King was about to bite her, a sudden roar echoed from deep within the All-Beast Mountain range. Zhuo Fan and Zai Tianyang blanked out the moment it reached them. The 1,000 bloodthirsty wolves pack collapsed one after the other, with only the Wolf King staggering from fear. But before it could retreat, a flame swept over the wolves, not even leaving ash behind. Even the Wolf King couldn't survive and disappeared from this world. Unbelievable enough, Zhuo Fan's party survived unharmed, though unconscious. Zhuo Fan vaguely heard someone calling him and opened his eyes. What is with this foggy place? Where am I? He looked around, but then it occurred to him he was heavily wounded, so how could he move? Suddenly, 2 blue flames ignited. It fused together to reveal a burning blue-robed figure floating high above. Is your name Zhuo Fan? I heard the 2 kids call you as such. The figure smiled. His voice fit a sturdy middle-aged man, but it wasn't clear from his appearance. Zhuo Fan was suspicious. Who are you? You don't need to know. The figure replied, This is my domain, and here I ask the questions. Zhuo Fan, why have you come to All-Beast Mountain Range? The blue figure asked. Zhuo Fan thought for a moment. To capture a spiritual beast and make it my demonic creature. What spiritual beast? 6th level spiritual beast, Thunder Skylark. Why? Zhuo Fan's eyes swiveled. Why else? To increase my power. Boom. A loud noise resounded and Zhuo Fan felt like his head was about to explode. Ha ha ha, the figure laughed. Boy, we are inside your consciousness. It's easy for me to tell when you lie. Zhuo Fan looked at the figure in fear. He could enter others' consciousness on his own. Such power went beyond Radiant Stage, maybe even above the mortal domain. Are you, from the sacred domain? Zhuo Fan gasped. He never thought that it was possible to run into a sacred domain's expert in the mortal domain. The figure was also surprised that Zhuo Fan knew about sacred domain and nodded. You aren't normal to know of sacred domain, to apply ancient arrays and refine the blood infant. Zhuo Fan was shocked to find that all his actions were monitored. This man even knew of Blood Infant. Matters regarding Patriarch Blood Demon were decades old, and very few people knew of them, even in the sacred domain. If he hadn't stumbled upon the 9 Serenities' secret records, he would be none the wiser. But, who exactly are you? I said it before, only I ask the questions here. The figure replied coldly. Why do you want the Thunder Skylark? Speak the truth. Zhuo Fan was pensive but found no way out. I want to go to Lightning Canyon and search for the Heavenly Emperor's remnant. For that, I need the Thunder Skylark to block the purple lightning. What? The blue figure never anticipated such an answer, but laughed in glee. Ha ha ha, good, great even. That is a good place. You should definitely go. The figure vanished and popped right in front of Zhuo Fan's face. Zhuo Fan was startled but didn't pick up any bad intentions from him. The figure then tapped Zhuo Fan's forehead and a blue flame seeped in. Zhuo Fan only felt gentle energy from his forehead. Ha ha ha, boy, we are fated, so here's a gift. I hope you can help me in the future. The figure was gone, but his words rang in Zhuo Fan's ears. You can find the Thunder Skylark 3,000 miles into the 3rd area. Do your best to catch it. Wait, Zhuo Fan sat up with a start. A ray of sunshine shone through the cave's mouth and forced him to cover his eyes. To his surprise, he found that he could actually move. Although still weak, he was mostly recovered. Inspecting himself in detail, he found the Blood Infant laying depressed in his dantian, but its life was no longer hanging by a thread. Even its eyes were trembling, on the verge of waking up. Being shocked was an understatement. Zhuo Fan knew the expert he met last night was someone who rose above the mortal domain, or he wouldn't have had the ability to heal his wounds overnight along with Blood Infants. But why did he choose me? Zhuo Fan rubbed his forehead, recalling that the man had planted something there, but his weak self didn't allow him to see clearly what it was. He shook his head in the end. It doesn't matter, anyway, he saved me. Whatever his reasons are, I will figure them out sooner or later. With his current strength, what could he do against that man? Mocking himself, he realized that he was overthinking things sometimes. It had to do with the fact that he was in the 6th layer of chi condensation with the heart of an Emperor stage expert. What a pain. So his current objective was to boost his strength. The strong had the final say in everything. He sighed as he looked at the incoming sunshine. Despite the somber feeling exuding from the burned trees, the sun brought a ray of hope. A groan interrupted his musing, and Zhuo Fan found Zhu Ningxiang's weak figure in a pool of blood. He rushed to her and fed a heart-protecting pill. A gentle yuan qi traveled within her body and Zhuo Fan breathed easy. The girl's wounds were only skin deep. She had overused her yuan qi in her fight against the bloodthirsty wolves and needed just a few days to recover. But the pale face of Zhu Ningxiang brought another wave of worry in his heart. He then started to remove the dirt from her face. Feeling his rough hand, Zhu Ningxiang cracked her eyes open and showed a sweet smile. Brother Zhu, are we dead? Rest easy, we are alive and well. Liar, how are you able to move when you were so hurt? Zhu Ningxiang mumbled, but at least we died together, and the girl faded into unconsciousness at the last word. Zhuo Fan watched her peaceful expression and carried her inside the cave to lay her next to the soothing grass. It was the best item in relieving fatigue for humans. Now he was standing beside the unconscious Zai Tianyang with a not-so-friendly face. Yo, get up I say. Zhuo Fan kicked him lightly, twice for good measure, but he was still as a rock. Zhuo Fan sneered and swung his leg way back before kicking with enough oomph on Zai Tianyang's ass. Ah, a wail that shook the heavens and the forest was heard. It even frightened the spiritual beasts around. I say, what's with this ghastly yell, trying to wake the heavens? The all-beast mountain range doesn't lack dreadful monsters, you know. Zai Tianyang shivered as he reined in his tears. What is this place? What did I ever do to deserve such cruelty even in death? Is kicking once cruel? You, a sword marquise abode young master, have seen nothing yet. Zhuo Fan smiled at Zai Tianyang's shocked face. Zai Tianyang was startled seeing Zhuo Fan. Did you kick me? Why the hell? We clearly died together, so why can you hit me? Zhuo Fan grinned. If we're dead, all of us would be equals. Too bad we are alive and kicking. And since you weren't moving, what, we're alive? Zai Tianyang stopped listening after that and laughed. Ha ha ha, it's the same cave. We are alive. But then his mood soured, eyeing Zhuo Fan up and down before yelling, why are you able to move while I can't? You had it far worse than me, and your cultivation is weaker too. Zhuo Fan shrugged and perked an eyebrow, exasperating the self-entitled genius disciple. Zai Tianyang's lip quivered as he wailed in frustration, freak. Not for the life of him could he comprehend how Zhuo Fan was jumping around after having his life hanging by a thread just 2 days ago. Even he, a bone-tempering expert, would need 2 months of recovery to be able to stand. He was vexed enough knowing that Zhuo Fan was stronger than him, despite their realm difference, and better skilled than him, despite their differences in background. Now though, this damn punk showed a miracle, jumping back on his feet in no time at all. How can one even bloody compare? It's like being left light years behind. Zhuo Fan, tell me the truth. Who the heck are you? Zai Tianyang spat. Zhuo Fan lost his smile and patted Zai Tianyang's shoulder, human of course, though just slightly above average. Zai Tianyang was pissed off by Zhuo Fan's attitude, but his bad state didn't help him vent, and even if he could move, Zhuo Fan's array would just splatter him into pieces. This made bitter tears flow down his cheeks. A genius disciple's pride was crushed completely. Nonetheless, Zhuo Fan moving about had its upside. He could set up an array to defend them. Zai Tianyang had nothing to say to that. It brought far more advantage with Zhuo Fan recovered than if it was him instead. His cultivation only helped protect himself in such a place, let alone others. Spirit stones flew out of his ring, and Zhuo Fan set up an ancient first-grade concealing array. At that moment, the cave disappeared from this place, and not even a 6th-level spiritual beast would find it even if they passed through. The trio could finally heal in peace. Zhu Ningxiang woke up 3 days later and was wild with joy knowing that they weren't dead. Then she wondered where those wolves went and why they didn't eat the trio. Zai Tianyang was unclear about this too, but Zhuo Fan frowned, finding it tied to the expert he met in his consciousness. It was in this manner the trio recouped for 3 months. Zhuo Fan was back to full health while Zai Tianyang could now exert 70% of his power. Zhu Ningxiang recovered long ago and spent her time playing with the burrowing mouse. Both of them were happy seeing her smile again, thinking of her like a little sister. Zhu Ningxiang too started to feel more dependent on the two. Whoosh, 100 meters away from the cave, Zai Tianyang hacked a rock as he smiled towards Zhu Ningxiang not far away. He clearly recovered to 80%. Zhu Ningxiang clapped excitedly alongside the burrowing mouse. Zhuo Fan walked over with a smile. Nice power you have there. You should enter the 8th layer of bone tempering stage soon. Didn't you also enter the 7th layer of qi condensation after your wounds healed? Zai Tianyang clipped. Besides, Zhuo Fan, how can your eyes be that good to detect me breaking through before I do? Zhu Ningxiang waved her hand to placate them. Why are you always arguing when you meet each other? You weren't like this before. Isn't it his fault? Zai Tianyang stuck out his chest and cursed Zhuo Fan. After all this time, I still can't forgive this brat for using Ninger as bait. How can I not be pissed? What arguing? I'm itching to give him a beating. Pot calling the kettle black. Who was it that said to dump her and stall the 7th elder? Zhuo Fan countered. I never. Zai Tianyang was at a loss, but soon recovered his courage. I didn't know Ninger was so great, all right. Moreover, it's far better than being used as bait. I'm a demonic cultivator. It's normal to be more immoral than a righteous cultivator like you. Immoral, you're a bloody criminal by comparison. Seeing Zhuo Fan and Zai Tianyang quarreling over her, Zhu Ningxiang gestured for them to stop. Come on, don't argue, it's all in the past. I don't care anymore, so why are you bringing it up? No, I want to give you justice. Zai Tianyang grabbed her shoulders while glaring at the smiling Zhuo Fan. It's all right, we are friends who braved through life and death together. It's water under the bridge. Zhu Ningxiang showed a smile at the two and extended a pinky. Zai Tianyang smiled wryly and was hesitant in extending his pinky, but he did nonetheless. He was followed by an indifferent Zhuo Fan. The 3 pinkies touched and they started to feel warm and fuzzy inside. Finding a close friend in life was hard, but finding one to brave death alongside oneself was even harder. From now on, they would never abandon each other, no matter what. Zhuo Fan suspected he'd be hard-pressed to find any closer friends in this life. As they took back their respective fingers, Zhuo Fan smiled. Now that we have recovered, we will each go our own way. Startled, the two didn't understand why he'd say this. Zhuo Fan shook his head. Sorry, that was my mistake. I want to leave. Zai Tianyang, I'm afraid I can't take her out of the city. Help her in my stead. Brother Zhu, where are you going? Zhu Ningxiang felt nervous. Zhuo Fan replied with a determined tone. The 3rd area? What? Zai Tianyang and Zhu Ningxiang shouted. At first we wanted to avoid the 7th elder by going there, but why would you still want to go? Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed with guilt. To be honest, it was my objective from the start. I wanted to go together because you were useful. Bastard, you wanted more baits, Zai Tianyang cursed. Zhuo Fan nodded. Yes, so if you don't want to die, run along. The farther from me, the better. As he replied, Zhuo Fan turned to leave. Wait, Zhu Ningxiang pulled his hand with a shy smile. Brother Zhu, if you don't consider me as a burden, take me with you. Even if I were to become bait, it is all right as long as I can stay with you. Zhuo Fan was startled and his heart throbbed. Zai Tianyang advised, hey Ninger, this guy's no good. But Zhu Ningxiang's gentle eyes only had Zhuo Fan in them, and so Zai Tianyang also reluctantly chose to put his hands together with theirs. Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow. You two want to follow me? Yes. Zai Tianyang felt lifeless, but don't misunderstand, I'm not coming to help you, but to make sure you don't betray Ninger. Zhuo Fan smiled. With how smart you are, I might go and betray you both. but he didn't voice it. Meeting the two of them could be considered as his fortune. Friends in life and death were hard to find. Range's third area was so thick it blotted out the sun. It was also packed with vicious spiritual beasts that roared at any passing moment. It painted such a gruesome picture that struck terror in any who were intent in setting foot inside. Suddenly, a low bush stirred despite the lack of wind. Zhuo Fan's party stuck to the ground as they crawled, making use of the bushes as cover. They did take energy-concealing pills, but unlike the previous areas, if any spiritual beast saw them here, it spelled doom. As such, this was the only viable way to advance, moving at a crawl 3,000 miles inland. With each roar and cry, fear struck, soaking their brows with sweat. Blast it. We'll never get anywhere crawling like this. After half a day of wiggling through 10 miles, Zai Tianyang complained and sat with arms crossed. I'm not doing it anymore. It's too lame. Besides, you think a fifth-level spiritual beast lies at every corner. Fool, get down before it's too late, Zhuo Fan cursed. Zai Tianyang smirked in disdain. How will that help? With how tall the fauna is here, you think they'll spot us at a glance. Roar. In reply to his disdain, a reverberating roar deafened the trio. They turned to see 5 towering trees being pushed to the ground. A 50-meter-tall black bear appeared. Seeing its meal, the black bear roared with bared fangs and bloodthirsty eyes. Fourth-level spiritual beast, Mad Storm Bear, Zhuo Fan cried as the trio shook in fear. Zai Tianyang was even rooted in place. Before the bear could jump on its prey, a tail thick as a bucket coiled around its body. The bear was squeezed and thrown into the heavens above as its pitiful cry grew faint. When it came back down, a maw opened wide and swallowed it whole. As the maw closed, blood sprayed in the surroundings, forming a pool beneath it. Even Zhuo Fan felt a shiver of fear. That was a 30-meter-long python with a scarlet crest and rock-hard scales. Its cold eyes flashed on the prowl for the next meal. Fifth-level spiritual beast, Diamond Crest Python. Run, Zhuo Fan yelled as he sped up his crawling, and the other two worked to catch up. Even Zai Tianyang disregarded his sorry state and crawled with them. He came face to face to the horrors of this area. One slip and he was a goner. It was plainly obvious why even a radiant stage expert would die here. When the Diamond Crest Python ate the bear, because of its bulk, it didn't notice the trio and left after its meal. Damn you, Zhuo Fan, I must have been insane for agreeing to come with you to this hell. Zai Tianyang worked his all not only to crawl but also to complain on and on, afraid he would soon lose his life without venting. He was on the verge of tears. He had heard this place was savage, but not to this extent. If he'd try to even stand taller than waist height, he'd soon find danger setting its sights on him. Zhuo Fan mocked, no one told you to come. Why don't you crawl your way back? Zai Tianyang was looking at the sky. Curses, the sun is setting. Nocturnal spiritual beasts will be on the hunt soon and crawling won't work against them. I'll be dead in a second. Better stick to Zhuo Fan. He would set up an array and no spiritual beast would wander in. Annoyed, Zai Tianyang had an edge in his voice. Since I'm in the same boat as you, once I wander back it will be plain suicide. Zhuo Fan and Zhu Ningxiang shook their heads. Then the trio's schedule was crawling by day and ducking under an array at night. And after a month, they finally crawled through 3,000 miles till their limbs and waist went sore. The good news was that the closer they got, the fewer the spiritual beasts spotted. Zhuo Fan knew they entered the territory of those 6th-level spiritual beasts, where no weaker beast would dare step a paw in. In the third area, 6th-level spiritual beasts were kings. If they found some oblivious beastie wandering into their domain, they'd chase it even for 1,000 miles, all to preserve a king's dignity, especially if humans were involved. Stretching and exhaling, Zhuo Fan felt a bit better. Despite his relaxed manner, Zai Tianyang had his eyes peeled as he cautiously rose to his feet. We can stand here. Zhuo Fan nodded with a smile. On our way here, there were too many eyes and ears on the lookout for any movement, so we crawled to avoid the spiritual beasts. Here, though, is the domain of 6th-level spiritual beasts. Hiding will be much more effective than crawling in this place. Zai Tianyang finally found safety for the first time in a month and smiled. So it's much safer here than other places. Zhuo Fan arched an eyebrow. You can say that, but we'll die even faster bumping into a 6th-level spiritual beast. Zai Tianyang's smile vanished and his tone held some bite. Then what the hell are we doing here? Tame them? How? Zhuo Fan smiled with confidence. He had considered this point a long time ago. He came to such a deadly place as the third area with a plan. He only needed to slip a bloodworm into the Thunder Skylark and all was well. But the problem was how. Rumble, Zhuo Fan was cooking up a plan when a sudden noise shook the world. The trio felt the earth shaking beneath their feet. They blinked in shock. This had to be from another devastating clash of spiritual beasts. But throughout their crawling, never had they heard a sound so loud. Not even when 2 5th-level spiritual beasts fought. There could only be one answer. 6th-level spiritual beasts, they shouted in unison. It seems to be coming from that direction. Zhuo Fan ran straight for it while Zai Tianyang yelled nervously, "Those beasts will tear you to pieces." Zhuo Fan smirked. If one of them was the Thunder Skylark, it'd be perfect. He'd lay in wait and make use of the perfect opportunity to strike. Zhu Ningxiang remained quiet and followed him closely. Wherever Zhuo Fan went, she would be close by. So Zai Tianyang had no choice but to join them. 15 minutes later, the trio heard a thunderclap in the sky and the roaring flames. The three huddled behind a large rock in a small valley and peeked above. But the sight took their breath away. Two spiritual beasts flew high up, both 6th-level spiritual beasts. One was a deep blue-colored bird with a 15-meter-long body and a wingspan of 20 meters. Lightning traveled along its body as it cracked the air. Despite being smaller in size, even compared with a 5th-level spiritual beast, its every wing beat covered the sky in lightning and wind blades that struck the rocks in the valley to pieces. A 5th-level spiritual beast would be crushed by such display. Thunder Skylark, Zhuo Fan squinted. He didn't lie to me. Thunder Skylark's nest is here. He then turned to the other spiritual beast. It was a flying lion wreathed in scarlet flames. Its mane was on fire, and it had 30-meter-long wings of flames, half as long as his body. A flap of its wings sent fire to engulf the skies and burn the whole valley to a crisp. 6th-level spiritual beast, Flaming Lion King. Zhuo Fan's heart tightened. The Flaming Lion King was as powerful as a 7th-level spiritual beast, putting the Thunder Skylark at a disadvantage. He had thought that if the Thunder Skylark was tangled with another 6th-level spiritual beast, he'd play the fisherman and make the bird swallow a bloodworm during the confusion. Pity that it was facing Flaming Lion King. The Thunder Skylark would likely be defeated and killed, but wouldn't that bore a large hole in his plans? No, I have to help it. But how? This savage battle is no different than a Radiant Stage expert's fight. Getting involved will only get me killed. Boom. As Zhuo Fan was musing a plan, the two beasts clashed again. Flaming Lion King spat a fireball while Thunder Skylark sent a thunderstorm with a flap of its wings, intending to crush it. But then Flaming Lion King rammed its huge body into the frail Thunder Skylark. The bird cried out and tumbled around in the air. Zhuo Fan secretly sighed. Sure enough, the Thunder Skylark was just as adept at using her attribute like the Flaming Lion King, but her body lacked power in contrast. It would die if this went on. Big brother Zhuo, can you help the poor birdie? Zhu Ningxiang turned her puppy eyes to him. Zhuo Fan was this close to spewing blood, birdie. Well, it does belong to the swallow type, but it's a spiritual beast nonetheless. Regardless, just how exactly is that thing small? But Zhu Ningxiang's pleas echoed his thoughts. The Thunder Skylark must survive. Ninger, we can't just interfere in a battle of 6th-level spiritual beasts. Zhu Ningxiang felt regret the moment she spoke up. Over these few months, Zai Tianyang never refused any of her wishes. Ignoring the fact that our strength is not nearly enough, just from how fiercely these 6th-level spiritual beasts are clashing, one can tell it is not over food, but territory. You couldn't interfere even if they were people, not knowing who is wrong or right. We can't just risk our lives for them. Zhuo Fan lifted an eyebrow as he gave Zai Tianyang a deeper look. In the end, he comes from the 7 houses and knows what battles between great powers implies. If I didn't need the Thunder Skylark so badly, I wouldn't get involved either. But Zhu Ningxiang's expression was filled with worry. But that birdie isn't fighting over territory, it's to protect her young. Zhuo Fan looked again and saw a nest below the Thunder Skylark holding 5 huge eggs. Flaming Lion King was powerful enough, but the Thunder Skylark's speed was astonishing. It could leave just like that if it wanted to, but the Lion King caught it between a rock and a hard place, battering it again and again until it was filled with wounds all because it was worried about harming her eggs. Now that Zhuo Fan got the whole picture, he hatched a plan to help the Thunder Skylark. She is one big mother. Zhuo Fan sighed. Ninger, worry not. See how I get that birdie out of trouble. Zhu Ningxiang became overjoyed while Zai Tianyang was skeptical. Hypocrite, since when were you so selfless? This guy has a callous heart and betrays his friends at a drop of the hat. Since when did he start sticking his head out for someone else, a savage beast no less? Oh, Zai Tianyang, how can you understand me? I am in fact a man with love in his heart. Wait for a bit, I will need your help soon. Screw you, if you have love, I'm a saint. Zai Tianyang retorted in derision, but then he said in shock, I got it, you want the Thunder Skylark. Zhuo Fan perked an eyebrow and nodded, ha ha ha, you've started using your head more since teaming up with me. Curses. I almost got used by you again. Zai Tianyang spat, if you want to get the Thunder Skylark, leave me out of it. Zhuo Fan shrugged, then gave Zhu Ningxiang a long look. Zhu Ningxiang nodded and showed her doe eyes as she shook Zai Tianyang's arm. Big brother Zai, go with big brother Zhuo. The birdie and her young are so pitiful. Zai Tianyang felt like crying. The birdie is pitiful. One flap from it will tear me apart. Why aren't you feeling sorry for me? Lacking any choice in the matter, Zai Tianyang nodded. he was still feeling guilty for what happened to Zhu Ningxiang and would agree to any of her requests. At his nod, Zhu Ningxiang exploded into a sparkling smile and Zhuo Fan grinned at the side. Zhuo Fan, watch it. If you throw me away, I will make you pay. Zai Tianyang glared, but Zhuo Fan just shook his head. Take it easy. When I use someone, I make sure they won't ever get the chance to come back to bite me. What? Zai Tianyang exclaimed. Zhuo Fan just laughed and patted his shoulder. After warning Zhu Ningxiang to hide and not get discovered, Zhuo Fan and Zai Tianyang sneaked towards the eggs. The two were able to sneak thanks to the energy-concealing pill. As the beasts raged, lightning and flames collided, rocking the valley like a boat. Zhuo Fan and Zai Tianyang crept up cautiously below the raging storm. Each time the boom drew closer, it gripped their hearts in a vice and soaked their brows with sweat. One stray fireball or lightning could become the end for them both. Luckily enough, they reached the eggs without a scratch. Below the Thunder Skylark, it was both the most dangerous and safest place. What now? Zai Tianyang looked above at the flashing figures engaged in a fierce battle. Zhuo Fan explained his plan with a smile. While the Thunder Skylark isn't paying attention, we will hide the eggs. When it finds out that its eggs are gone, it will no longer fight and rush to search for its young. Since it is faster than the lion, we will thus save its life. Good plan. Zai Tianyang spoke in a low voice and gave him a thumbs up. Zhuo Fan then indicated to lift the nest together. While the heavens were swept by a storm, two bandits were making away with the entire nest from right under everyone's noses. Seeing this, Zhu Ningxiang sported a wide smile. Suddenly, Flaming Lion King gained altitude, breaking away from the bird while the Thunder Skylark kept a closer eye on its movements. As Zhuo Fan was carrying the nest, he found that the shadows on the ground were much bigger and that the sky had turned silent. Startled, he stopped and looked up. He was met with the large eyes of the Flaming Lion King. He also noticed that the lion's eyes were ridiculing him. Zhuo Fan shouted in panic, "That savage found us, run!" But the eggs, Zai Tianyang was nervous. "What eggs? Just throw them." Ignoring Zai Tianyang, Zhuo Fan tossed the nest and the 5 eggs to the ground. Since they were spiritual beast eggs, they wouldn't break so easily. Startled by Zhuo Fan's yell, the Thunder Skylark looked in time to see her 5 young thrown on the ground and rushed in anger. Boom! Then, a ball of fire passed close to the Thunder Skylark. The Flaming Lion King wasn't aiming for it, but the 5 eggs. With a cry, the Thunder Skylark flew like lightning and used her body to block the fireball. Zhuo Fan let out a mental sigh. Not for Thunder Skylark's sacrifice, but the lion's cunningness. It knew that the Thunder Skylark was fast as lightning, which proved it difficult to land a heavy blow. But those eggs couldn't move and were the perfect means to cripple the Thunder Skylark's speed. Attacking what one defended was the best plan. The Flaming Lion King laughed in glee and spat another ball of flame. Thunder Skylark used her lightning to stop it, but with the eggs scattered, another ball of fire was closing in on another egg. Thus she was forced to fly all over to defend them. The Flaming Lion King, which was hovering above, roared and sneered. "We made it worse. We hastened the Thunder Skylark's end." Darting back to Zhu Ningxiang, Zhuo Fan sighed. Despite not liking it, he spoke with determination. "Let's go. If we wait for Thunder Skylark to die, the crazy lion will come after us." Zhuo Fan and Zai Tianyang grabbed Zhu Ningxiang's arm, but she stood rooted to the spot, watching the Thunder Skylark darting to and fro as tears fell down her cheeks. Zhuo Fan sighed. He had no way to help the bird now. "Let it go, Ninger. We need to leave." Zhuo Fan furrowed his brows and urged, but Zhu Ningxiang shook her head. Boom. After fending off 24 fireballs, the Thunder Skylark let out a mournful cry and fell tired and wounded in a large crater. The Flaming Lion King charged with its claw aiming for the bird's throat. No, Zhu Ningxiang broke away from the two's grasp and rushed to defend the Thunder Skylark. The cold wind from Flaming Lion King's attack fanned her fine black hair, but her eyes remained unwavering. Zhuo Fan and Zai Tianyang rushed over, alarmed. Both forgot that they would soon be 2 more corpses added to the pile, that it wouldn't make a difference. Even Zhuo Fan lost his calculative mind. The 3 only knew to not abandon the other. "Ninger, I will accompany you in death," Zai Tianyang roared as he threw himself in front of her. Zhuo Fan flashed in front of the 2, but his eyes were fixed on the Flaming Lion King. He was the demonic emperor. Even in death, he would stare down his enemy. "Dumb humans, your flesh won't stop this king's claw." The Flaming Lion King opened its mouth and sneered. As its claw drew close, its killing intent made the trio shiver. But just when the claw was about to touch Zhuo Fan's face, an azure flame came out of Zhuo Fan's forehead, and a shocking power shrouded the entire All-Beast mountain range. The spiritual beasts were left shivering and lowered their proud heads. Even those fighting bent their knees. Flaming Lion King stopped its claw and watched the swaying flame as it trembled in fear. The azure flame was as small as a candle's, flickering in the wind in front of Zhuo Fan's forehead. but with each sway, the flaming Lion King's eyes shivered as if it saw its end. It then took back its claw and sped away in the form of a ball of fire. It scampered off with speed rather than dignity, so much so that it was even close to falling at some point. A 6th-level spiritual beast, a king in the All-Beast mountain range, was now fleeing like a kitty while trembling from every joint. Frowning, Zhuo Fan touched his forehead, but the azure flame had already hidden inside. He only felt a faint warmth and concluded that it was connected to the expert who had appeared in his consciousness and touched him there. Hey Zhuo Fan, Zai Tianyang shook his arm as he questioned. Be honest with me, are you absolutely positive that you are human? Cut the crap, what else would I be, a demon? Zhuo Fan slapped Zai Tianyang's hand away. I've never seen a human scare a 6th-level spiritual beast with just a look. Zai Tianyang took deep breaths to calm down and continued. Did you see how scared it was when it saw you? As if afraid you would eat it whole. As brothers, you owe me an explanation. How many secrets are you hiding? Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes, then turned to Zhu Ningxiang. We were never brothers. Zai Tianyang froze, then he showed an awkward smile. But he was becoming more and more curious about Zhuo Fan. Coming next to Zhu Ningxiang, they saw her tear-stained face as she looked at the thunder skylark. The lion didn't take its life, but the birdie was too far gone to be saved. Unlike Zai Tianyang, she ignored the fleeing flaming Lion King and inspected the birdie's wounds. It won't make it. Zhuo Fan sent his Yuan Qi to check its state, then sighed. His plan on getting a thunder skylark went up in smoke. Big brother Zhuo, can you help her? Zhu Ningxiang looked at him with teary eyes, but he could only sigh. As a demonic emperor, he had plenty of ways, but the current him was weak. Zhu Ningxiang began crying her heart out, tears falling down the thunder skylark's face. The bird opened its eyes and looked elsewhere. Zhu Ningxiang noticed and spotted an egg not too far, but the egg was burnt black. The thunder skylark gave its all before, but was incapable of stopping every fireball. It wants her young, let's go find them. Zhu Ningxiang cried. Zhuo Fan and Zai Tianyang searched around and soon gathered 4 scorched and lifeless eggs. Wasn't there one more? Zhu Ningxiang nervously asked. The two shook their heads. The last one was lost. They couldn't find it anywhere. Zhu Ningxiang was sorrowful, kneeling before the thunder skylark as she sobbed. Forgive us, we are the ones who hurt you. The thunder skylark was always watching the 4 scorched eggs with teary eyes. Then her eyes flashed and moved her great body. From below her, the last egg rolled out. It was intact but still had a few scorch marks on it. Zhuo Fan looked long at the thunder skylark and secretly nodded. Despite being forced to run around by the flaming Lion King, it knew what it had to do. It made sure to protect one egg without anyone knowing, and when it collapsed, it used its body to hide the egg. So that even if it was killed, the egg would survive. It gave its life to protect its young. Thinking about this, Zhuo Fan developed a deep respect for the bird. With a cry, the thunder skylark stared at Zhuo Fan, or more specifically, his forehead. Then it turned to its egg with a hopeful gaze. You want me to take it? Zhuo Fan assumed. It nodded, eyes filled with warmth for the egg. Zhuo Fan picked it up and sighed. It is badly burnt, and even if it hatches, it won't live for long. Unless, he whispered the rest into the thunder skylark's ear. It was first startled, then nodded in gratitude. Turning to her young, the thunder skylark closed her eyes in peace. She could now rest easy knowing Zhuo Fan would look after it. Zhu Ningxiang saw its life fade away and was crying her heart out. Zhuo Fan and Zai Tianyang sighed. They didn't foresee her being so compassionate even towards a spiritual beast. They would, at most, hold some respect, but never be so heartbroken about it. Ninger, it won't come back. Don't feel too sad about it, Zhuo Fan consoled. Yeah, I never knew you'd be so compassionate towards this thunder skylark just after meeting it once. Zai Tianyang laughed dryly and scratched his head, not knowing how to comfort the girl. Zhu Ningxiang wiped her tears and knows why you guys misunderstood. It is a sad birdie, but I'm not crying for it. I was reminded of my home. Her appearance made me recall my dad protecting me every step of the way, taking care of me. The other two smiled dejectedly. It seems this girl was reminiscing. No wonder she was so touched. Since it's not for the bird, then I will take the thunder skylark's body. Zhuo Fan felt awkward as he stashed the body in his ring, but Zhu Ningxiang just nodded. Zai Tianyang, however, was aflame in anger. Hey, why do you get to have a whole 6th-level spiritual beast's body? A spiritual beast was a treasure in and of itself. The 6th-level spiritual beast bodies, in particular, made for great refining materials. Even the 7 houses seldom got such an item, and Zai Tianyang regarded it greatly. Looking askance at him, Zhuo Fan stated, You saw it giving me its egg. Its body is the same. You stay here with Ninger. I'll be right back. He left before Zai Tianyang could argue. Zai Tianyang wanted to follow Zhuo Fan, but seeing Ninger, he stayed. He was worried for her safety. Leaving her all alone in the woods was not wise, though it made little difference if he was there too. Whoosh. In a secluded spot, Zhuo Fan took out the egg, the thunder skylark's body, and some black rocks. He began circulating his yuan qi and his hand burned scarlet. This was a cultivator's most basic yuan qi flame. Weak in battle, but useful in refining. And those black rocks were spatial stones used in making storage rings. These rocks were very rare even with all the spatial rock mines in control of the 7 houses and the imperial family. But thanks to Veiled Dragon Pavilion and imperial family endorsing the Luo clan, he got his hand on a few. And right now, he was planning on refining a beast-holding ring. It was far more complex to refine than a storage ring, and the Great Sex had a tight lock on any refining methods regarding them. Furthermore, it could even store spiritual energy. As spiritual beasts were nurtured by the spiritual energy of the world, they were the best ingredient for refining items. Case in point, this egg came from the Thunder Skylark, and its spiritual energy would help it recover. If not for this, Zhuo Fan was unsure if he could even hatch it. Now that the Thunder Skylark was dead, he desperately needed to hatch the egg and make it his demonic creature in order to enter the Lightning Canyon. For this, Zhuo Fan spoke a few words to the dying Thunder Skylark, and it agreed once it knew its broken body could help her young live. Either way, this was Zhuo Fan's way of showing his respect for the mother. Also, he would have taken this course of action regardless of her decision. Zhuo Fan pointed and the flame towered, fusing the ingredients with high-speed hand signs and a smile of satisfaction. He was close to fulfilling his objective. In the dead of night, stars glittered with Zhu Ningxiang and Zai Tianyang watching them bored out of their mind. As this was Thunder Skylark's territory, no 6th-level spiritual beast would wander here. It was the safest place for them. A sound broke the silence and Zhuo Fan appeared next to them. Zhu Ningxiang ran to him in glee as Zai Tianyang looked him up and down. "What did you do with the corpse?" Shrugging, Zhuo Fan was blunt, "Tore it and ate and used it." Zhu Ningxiang was startled by his reply and Zai Tianyang rushed to placate her. "Ninger, it's all right. The bodies of spiritual beasts are handled like this, but I don't know what he refined using it." Zai Tianyang knew Zhuo Fan was an array master and an alchemist, so being a refiner on top wasn't that far-fetched. As Zhuo Fan was gone for a day, he assumed Zhuo Fan had refined something. "Hey, did you know today is Ninger's 16th birthday?" She was reminded of her family when the Thunder Skylark protected her egg and it made her cry. Zhuo Fan took a long look at Zhu Ningxiang, who was blushing with a lowered head. "Ha ha ha, since it's her birthday, then I will give her a present." Zhuo Fan revealed a ring that had lightning running across it. Then he took Zhu Ningxiang's hand and inserted the ring on her finger. "This is the storage ring I refined from the Thunder Skylark Thunder Ring. I have one and you the other. They both are made as one and are connected with each other." Zhuo Fan raised his hand and sparks flashed across his ring. Zhu Ningxiang was overjoyed inside and blushed as she extended her fist with the ring on it. Zhuo Fan did the same with his hand, and the 2 rings let out crackling sounds. Zai Tianyang was filled with envy and roared, "Zhuo Fan, give me one too." "I'm out," Zhuo Fan deadpanned. "Is it your damn birthday too?" "No, but you have to give me one, or the 2 of you." A pair of rings. Zai Tianyang's face burned hot. He no longer cared about the value of the Thunder Ring, but that Zhuo Fan and Zhu Ningxiang wore a unique pair of rings. Seeing through him, Zhuo Fan sighed inwardly. "We've been through thick and thin together, so of course I have one for you." Zhuo Fan then tossed him a ring. Zai Tianyang put it on in glee, then made a fist bump with Zhu Ningxiang. Each of them got a thunder ring which would only react when another was around. Zhuo Fan spoke seriously. "What gift did you give Ninger?" Zai Tianyang started and scratched his head from having nothing of value on him. Suddenly he turned to the burrowing mouse and pointed. "Ninger likes playing with it, so I'm giving it to her. Get lost, it has long stopped being yours," Zhuo Fan jabbed. Zai Tianyang snapped in anger. "Isn't it all you're doing?" The 2 began quarreling while Zhu Ningxiang stood content at the side with a smile. Absent-mindedly looking at the thunder ring, she wished the time would stop so that the 3 of them would stay worry-free. After a long night, they began their trek back first thing in the morning. But 10,000 miles out, a huge bird had its eye on each and every movement of theirs. Blue flames wreathed its body, and with every flap of its wings, it flew deeper into the All-Beast mountain range. The trio returned to the second area using the same method as before. Then they soon arrived at the first area. With the first step into safety, their hearts started easing up. Their thunder rings flashed with lightning from how close they were. "All that's left is to leave Blue Expanse City and we'll be safe." Zhuo Fan looked in the city's direction with a smile. Although he didn't obtain the Thunder Skylark, he earned much more, its egg and 2 dear friends in life and death moments. Zhu Ningxiang, however, was frowning, worry plaguing her heart. "But we offended the 7th elder. Won't he set a trap for us?" "Unlikely," Zhuo Fan stated. "He must have spared our lives because another greater danger was looming overhead, forcing him to flee." He must be thinking we've died at the hands of that scary thing. Thing, what thing? Zai Tianyang asked. Zhuo Fan only shook his head. He was out like a light at that time and was unclear what happened. But when he woke up, he saw the destruction around him and came to this conclusion. As for why they were luckily spared, ask heaven. In any case, sneaking out of the city is easy. Zhuo Fan smiled. Ninger, what will you do after we leave? I don't know. Zhu Ningxiang turned gloomy, but then she looked up at Zhuo Fan. Big brother Zhu, I'll just go with you. Zhuo Fan started while Zai Tianyang became flustered and said, Ninger, how about you come with me to Sword Marquis's abode? Not only will your clansmen not come for you, but even Hell Valley's people wouldn't be able to take you from us. Zhu Ningxiang happily nodded. All right, big brother Zhu, why don't you also come? I've never seen the strong 7 noble houses of the Tianyu Empire. Zai Tianyang wasn't too pleased about it, but since Ninger was happy, he also relented. Zhuo Fan, for Ninger, I will extend an invitation to visit my house as a guest. Zhuo Fan looked at them for a moment and shook his head. I cannot. I have other places to be. If fortune smiles, we will see each other again. The two were startled and hesitant about parting. Though Zai Tianyang and Zhuo Fan were like fire and water, arguing every day, they went through hell together and came out as brothers. Hey, I truly welcome you to my house. Think of your brother, me, and come. Zhuo Fan snickered. I already said we aren't brothers. Sai, how can you? As Zai Tianyang was about to laugh it off, a crack was heard and a sudden pressure pushed down on them. No one is allowed to leave. Whoosh. A black figure appeared with long black and white hair. His long goatee fluttered in the wind and his eyes flashed as they landed on the trio. Profound heaven expert, Zhuo Fan and Zai Tianyang were startled and protected Zhu Ningxiang with their bodies. Is it an elder from Hell Valley? I've never seen him. Zhuo Fan and Zai Tianyang whispered. What was certain, though, this old man wanted to wring them dry. But then Zhu Ningxiang jumped out from between them and walked cautiously towards the man, grandfather. Zai Tianyang was stumped while Zhuo Fan asked with a frown, Your Zhu clan's only profound heaven expert, Zhu clan's patriarch, Zhu Dingshan. Turning a blind eye to the rotten kids in front, Zhu Dingshan looked over Zhu Ningxiang. Ninger, where did you run off these months? I looked all over for you. Zhu Ningxiang hung her head in guilt and mumbled, Sorry for worrying you, grandfather. Zhu Dingshan sighed and tousled his dear grandchild's hair, then spat. Did any of these runts misbehave? Zhu Ningxiang knew where this was going and was embarrassed. Grandpa, what are you saying? Humph, then all is good. Zhu Dingshan rolled his eyes over Zhuo Fan and Zai Tianyang. Who was it that hurt my grandson, Zhu Gang? Him. Zai Tianyang didn't miss a beat in exposing Zhuo Fan. I only met Ninger after. I never saw your grandson. Rolling his eyes, Zhuo Fan could only blame his poor luck in friends. I didn't know he was Ninger's brother, so please forgive the offense, senior. Then. You eloped with Ninger? Zhu Dingshan questioned Zhuo Fan. What elope? Zai Tianyang cried with a start and grabbed Zhuo Fan by the clothes. Zhuo Fan, explain it to me. Since when were you so close with Ninger? Zhu Dingshan glanced at Zai Tianyang and turned towards his granddaughter. Who is that kid to be even more pissed than me? Zhu Ningxiang glared at her grandpa, then hid her flaming cheeks with her hands. Grandpa is getting old. How could he mention something like that out of the blue? She was complaining inside, but her eyes sneaked a peek at Zhuo Fan. Wait, don't misunderstand. I only asked Ninger to show me the way and nothing else, Zhuo Fan gesticulated while shouting. Only then did Zai Tianyang stop. Zhu Dingshan stared down Zhuo Fan, but seeing no lies, he spoke. Good, in that case, I won't be hard on you on account on your time with my granddaughter. Come, Ninger, let's go home. Zhu Dingshan pulled her. But Zhu Ningxiang turned to the two behind her. Zai Tianyang was getting anxious, wanting to stop them. Wait, Zhuo Fan shouted. Zhu Dingshan spoke in a cold tone. Is there something else, runt? You can't take Ninger, said Zhuo Fan with a stony expression, and I advise you don't return either. Zhu Dingshan frowned. What do you mean by that? I'll be frank. We offended the 7th elder of Hell Valley and he recognized Ninger. I can guess he's now getting rowdy in the Zhu clan. If you go back now, you will die. Zhu Dingshan was startled, then looked to see Zhu Ningxiang nodding shyly. As if thunderstruck, Zhu Dingshan trembled and stumbled backward before falling. Zhu Ningxiang started crying and rushed to her grandpa. Grandfather, forgive me. Zhu Dingshan tightened his fist as rage swallowed his heart. Then his killing intent-filled eyes landed on Zhuo Fan and Zai Tianyang. It's you who brought this disaster upon us. As long as I take you to the 7th elder, he will spare us. Saying so, he slapped towards Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan's foot moved a bit, making 2 of his phantoms appear near him. Then they immediately retreated in different directions. Zhu Dingshan scattered the 3 retreating figures to dust with a wave of his hand, but the real one wasn't among them. The next moment, Zhuo Fan came from behind Zhu Dingshan and attacked with a bloody hand. Blood palm. Startled, Zhu Dingshan felt his blood vessels boil. He now felt it on his own skin why his son and grandson had lost. Zhuo Fan wasn't only strong enough to skip stages, but also cunning and hard to fathom. Too bad he wasn't in the profound heaven stage like the old man. Zhu Dingshan vanished before the blood palm could hit him, shocking Zhuo Fan. At the same instant, a powerful strike came from behind, and Zhuo Fan, who was unable to dodge in time, spat blood while flying. Zhu Dingshan was about to pursue when a mystical sword intent came at him. It was Zai Tianyang wielding his star sword to strike Zhu Dingshan's chest. As he looked at the approaching sword, the sky seemed to have calmed and he could only see the glittering sword moving. Profound ranked martial art. Zhu Dingshan moved his foot slightly and disappeared, only to attack from Zai Tianyang's side with a palm. Zai Tianyang spatted blood and flew due to the impact. It was thanks to his spiritual armor that he wasn't heavily wounded. Zhuo Fan and Zai Tianyang staggered to their feet. A profound heaven expert's power wasn't to be taken lightly. Without an array, they had no chance. That brief exchange from before lasted but a breath, and the outcome was a foregone conclusion. The two couldn't even touch a profound heaven expert. "Stop!" cried Xianxia. Zhu Dingshan turned towards his granddaughter and was startled to see her in tears with a dagger at her neck. "What are you doing, Ninger?" Zhu Dingshan became nervous. Xianxia spoke between sobs. "Grandpa, let them go, they're my friends. If I do, then our Zhu clan will be no more." Zhu Dingshan stepped towards Zhuo Fan with hatred and killing intent. "Grandpa, take one more step and I will be leaving this world before you." Xianxia nervously pushed the dagger closer to her throat. Blood began to trace the blade. "Don't!" Zai Tianyang was frightened, but Zhu Dingshan gnashed his teeth and pressed on. However, Zhuo Fan noticed the tears in the old man's eyes. Zhuo Fan laughed. "Ha ha ha, Zhu Dingshan, you've gotten senile. You think taking us to the 7th elder will save Zhu clan? It will only hasten your downfall." "What are you saying?" Zhu Dingshan stopped and stared at Zhuo Fan. Sneering, Zhuo Fan turned to Zai Tianyang. "Do you know who this is?" "He's from Sword Marquis's abode. By handing him over to the Hell Valley, you will make one of the 7 houses into your enemy. Do you think you can handle their wrath and prevent the downfall of your second-rate clan?" Zhu Dingshan became apprehensive. He spoke while scrutinizing Zai Tianyang. "Impossible, you are trying to play me. I would have known by now if someone from Sword Marquis's abode came to Blue Expanse City. 7 noble houses' disciples wander the world, so why should they report to you? Clear those muddy eyes of yours and take a closer look at his spiritual weapon, his martial arts. Are they common? Even in the 7 houses, such a masterful disciple is rare." A chill shook his very core and Zhu Dingshan staggered back a few steps. He knew that was a 4th-grade spiritual weapon and the kid was using a profound ranked martial art, who could wield both if not a man from the 7 houses. Having Zhu Dingshan right where he wanted, Zhuo Fan drove in the last nail with a sneer. "You want to take us back to Hell Valley when it's uncertain if they'll even accept us. But if they do, will the Sword Marquis's abode just let you go?" Plop! Zhu Dingshan lost all his nerve and collapsed in a shivering mess. The Zhu clan was under Hell Valley, but never would they think to step between the conflicts of the 7 houses. If it ever happened, the Hell Valley would toss them in front as cannon fodder. Zhu Dingshan began to feel mournful and lost. This year is a disaster for Zhu clan. Do we have no other choice but to die at the hands of one of the 7 houses? He could take these runts with him, but he wouldn't want them now even if they landed in his lap. "Why, young M. Masters, forgive this old man's rash behavior. I was blind to young Master's identity." Zhu Dingshan squeezed through clenched teeth and crouched before them to kowtow 3 times. Everyone was dumbfounded, while Zhuo Fan just took it all in with a critical eye. Zai Tianyang couldn't quite accept it and rushed over. Forgetting the fact he was Ninger's grandfather, just being an aged profound heaven expert was enough to make Zai Tianyang unable to receive such a gesture. With the profound heaven experts, elders in title, back at Sword Marquis's abode had to kneel too, but Zhuo Fan's hand barred his way. "If you want to save Ninger, show off your status," Zhuo Fan whispered, to which Zai Tianyang nodded with a bit of startle. "Grandfather, get up!" Xianxia had never seen her grandfather so humiliated and rushed to help him up. But then Zhuo Fan yelled, "Who told you to get up?" Zhu Dingshan shivered and was back on his knees with a red face. "You?" Xianxia was angry, but Zhu Dingshan pulled her back. Zhuo Fan strutted before the old man and said in a clipped tone, "Do you know of our young master's eminent identity in the house? You heard him today, and us, the Sword Marquis's abode, will not let this go unpunished. Yes, I was ignorant in my offense." Zhu Dingshan hung his head, which was already full of cold sweat. "Humph, then we will take Ninger. If you want to get her back, have the Zhu clan or Hell Valley come for her at Sword Marquis's abode." "Wait," Zhuo Fan was about to leave when Zhu Dingshan grabbed his ankle. "It doesn't matter if Ninger offended the 7th elder, but she cannot leave. Or the Zhu clan will be dead for good. I cannot accept it even if it means offending Sword Marquis's abode's young masters." Frowning, Zhuo Fan eyed him thoughtfully and saw the staunch resolve in his eyes. "Maybe." "Ninger," Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed with killing intent. He snatched Zai Tianyang's star sword and stabbed at the old man's chest. No, Zhu Ningxiang panicked and threw herself before Zhu Dingshan, stopping Zhuo Fan's attack just in time. Damnable and crazy punk, Zai Tianyang came to and took his sword. I thought you were just scaring the old man, not being serious. He is Ninger's grandfather. Zhuo Fan spoke coldly. If you were to choose who dies, who will you pick among the two? Of course it's. Zai Tianyang hesitated as he got caught in a dilemma. Zhu Ningxiang didn't understand what was going on between her grandfather and Zhuo Fan. Zhu Dingshan, what do you need Ninger for? Zhuo Fan spoke harshly. Zhu Dingshan sighed. I know that young master's like my granddaughter, but she is already betrothed to Hell Valley's young master. When she is 16 years of age, I will have to take her to them. Because of this, she has tried to run from home so many times. With how the time is nearing its end, if I don't take her, our whole clan will perish. Zai Tianyang asked, Ninger, is this why you ran away? Zhu Ningxiang nodded sadly. Zhuo Fan watched Zhu Dingshan's wrinkled face for any lies but found none, so even you do not know for sure. If it's marriage, then it's fine, but what? Zai Tianyang snapped. Ninger can't marry some random guy from Hell Valley. Come, follow brother to Sword Marquis's abode. Zhu Tianyang, this marriage is fake. Zhuo Fan shot him a glance, then spoke to Zhu Dingshan. If it was about Hell Valley's marriage, they would have come for her ages ago. But have you seen any girl getting married off to them coming back alive? Zhu Dingshan pondered, then shook his head. Hell Valley is one of the 7 houses with proper rules and manners. Marrying with our second-rate clan already deserves heartfelt gratitude. What other reason can there be? She is ready to be wed to someone, and it's no longer our place to ask. Ha ha ha, that's exactly what they want. Zhuo Fan cackled. If I were to tell you that all the girls who got married to the Hell Valley's people died, what will you do? Will you still let Ninger go? What? Impossible, Zhu Dingshan refuted. Why would they do that? We've always been loyal to them. It is because you are so devoted that they chose you to raise a cauldron, Zhuo Fan declared. Everyone asked in shock, what cauldron? Zhuo Fan answered calmly. There are some demonic cultivators who train in a cultivation method that utilizes ghosts of the people dying gruesome deaths. But too heavy grievance would lead to an imbalance in the yin and yang. This would increase the risk of oneself getting devoured by the ghosts. Therefore, the purest soul is needed as a foundation to train in it. And 16-year-old maidens are the best materials. You're saying they want Ninger to train some art? Zai Tianyang looked at Zhu Ningxiang with worry. Zhuo Fan nodded, most likely. Do you remember the 7th Elder's martial art? That profound ranked martial art wasn't trained to completion and was weak because the cauldron was lacking. You think he'd go easy on us on purpose? They all gasped at the cruelty of Hell Valley, which was using people as materials to practice arts. But Zhuo Fan couldn't care less. Demonic cultivators were selfish, not cruel or humane. Anything that killed one's opponent was most welcomed. He recalled that one time back in the sacred domain when an emperor stage expert cultivated this demonic method and killed 10,000 cultivators, the expert provoked the entire sacred domain's cultivators into an uprising against him. Even demonic cultivators rose the flag of righteousness, vowing to wipe such filth from the world. That was one of the rare occasions in which the two paths joined. Luck had it that Zhuo Fan was among them, witnessing this force on the move. He learned then not to incur public hatred if he wasn't the strongest. That was also why he trained in the dark after getting the 9 Serenity's secret records. Even now, despite having the demon transformation art, which could raise his cultivation without a limit, he wasn't slaughtering left and right. If he'd get found out, he'd be the next target of both paths. The silence was deafening. It was so quiet that only cawing was heard, and even this noise only worked to darken the mood. Ninger, Zhu Dingshan turned serious as he said, if what this young master said is true, it's best if you leave. Grandfather, Zhu Ningxiang looked at him in tears. Zhu Dingshan smiled, don't worry, I'll go back and find out the truth. If it isn't like what this young master said, then I will come back to get you and proceed with the marriage. He ruffled her hair and flew away. Watching his departing figure, Zhu Ningxiang sniffed in tears. Big brother Zhu, will my grandfather be all right? Zhuo Fan's conjectures were always spot on, and Zhu Ningxiang wished to know her grandfather's fate. She wanted him to say her grandfather would be fine, that her clan would be fine. But Zhuo Fan shook his head. I'm sorry, if he doesn't return, your clan still might live for a while. But now all of them will die. Zhu Ningxiang was shocked to the core and tears never stopped falling. Zai Tianyang began cursing to hide his sadness. Hey, you're not that damn insidious demon's match in reading people, so how can you say they'll all die if he returns? I think a profound heaven expert would make the insidious demon think twice. Humph, that is where you're wrong. I may not be as sharp as him when it comes to picking up one's intentions, but we are all humans and I can tell a thing or two of his actions. First, we offended him, and since he determined the identity of Zhu Ningxiang during our fight, he would think that the Zhu clan betrayed Hell Valley. He is bound to kill them to the last woman and child. But at that time, old man Zhu came to find Ninger. In this case, Zhuo Fan paused then sighed. Until he knew the whereabouts of the profound heaven expert, he would keep them alive to draw your grandfather. Once old man Zhu returns, there will be nothing holding him back. Bullshit. A profound heaven expert is an elder in the 7 houses. I don't believe he has such nerve to slaughter a profound heaven expert's entire clan. Zai Tianyang saw Zhu Ningxiang's expression turn darker and darker and roared at Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan shook his head. Exactly, because Zhu clan has a profound heaven expert, he would wait for Zhu Dingshan to return before wiping them all off. In addition, you're wrong about something. A profound heaven expert is not strong at all, but a free one is. Why do you think he kneeled before us? He didn't do it for the 2 of us, but for the sword marquis's abode behind you. He didn't kneel for himself either, but for the Zhu clan. If he were a rogue cultivator, free of responsibility, killing us would be a matter of fact. But Zai Tianyang wanted to retort, but found nothing to refute him with. He knew of this all too well, but the sorrowful look on Zhu Ningxiang pushed him to find her some solace. But Zhuo Fan's words stabbed Zhu Ningxiang's frail heart like a dagger. At this point, Zai Tianyang wanted to punch him. Can't you have some sympathy for Ninger? All right, stop fighting. Zhu Ningxiang shouted, Big brother Zhuo, I know what you said is reasonable. Tell me then, if I go back as a cauldron, can I save my clan? Zai Tianyang was appalled. Ninger, don't. Zhuo Fan looked her in the eye, but all he saw was an unwavering will and nodded. Even the magnificent and grand 7th Elder of Hell Valley has no other way to train in that martial art. From this, it is obvious how much the Hell Valley lacks cauldrons. Doing this is likely to work, but there is no but as long as it works. Zhu Ningxiang waved and breathed out as if to get out all the worries off her chest. She was smiling, but the 2 felt their hearts heavy from the tears flowing down Zhu Ningxiang's cheeks. Big brother Zhuo, Big brother Tianyang, thank you for taking care of me these past months. We shall part ways just that. Zhu Ningxiang sniffed. I've never once gone outside the city, never seen Sword Marquis's abode. It's my only regret. She waved with a smile and left. Zai Tianyang's eyes were tinted red. They both knew what this girl was about to do. Ninger, Zai Tianyang stepped forward, but Zhu Ningxiang's delicate voice reached them before he could take a second. Please don't try to use force. I know I am not your match, but I will hate you for all my life and will never listen to you 2 again. Zai Tianyang fell to his knees and watched her distancing figure in pain. Hey, Zhuo Fan, Ninger left. Can she save Zhu clan? He asked gloomily. For some time. Zhuo Fan shook his head, his face serene. Once Ninger's use as cauldron expires, Zhu clan would have outlived its usefulness. Why did you let her leave then? Zai Tianyang bit his lip until he drew blood as his words were spoken with an edge. Zhuo Fan stared him in the eye. At least, Ninger will leave this world at peace, believing her clan will be kept safe. Bastard, bam. Zai Tianyang stood up and punched Zhuo Fan's face and sent him 10 meters flying. You betrayed Ninger again. Roaring, Zai Tianyang rushed after Zhu Ningxiang. What are you going to do? Zhuo Fan wiped the blood from his mouth and stood up. I'm going to save her. Zai Tianyang was dead serious. Just you, Zhuo Fan jabbed. How can a bone-tempering cultivator fight against a profound heaven expert? You saw what happened just now. You know the difference between the bone-tempering stage and profound heaven stage. It's not just about being unable to fly, but also about speed. So what? Tightening his fists, Zai Tianyang spat. It's better than doing nothing like you. We clearly had the chance to end that insidious demon last time. Last time we had the element of surprise and an array in place. In an array, no matter how fast he is, we can deal with him. But how will I set an array now? Are you telling me to set one right under his nose, then ask him to kindly step inside? Zai Tianyang understood the meaning behind Zhuo Fan's words but couldn't accept his manner. Ninger fought through life and death with them, and now Zhuo Fan was just going to sit there and do nothing. Zhuo Fan, I always knew there was no worth in trusting you. But as a man, good or bad, they are duty-bound to fulfill their promise. You promised to take Ninger out, and if you don't, you'll be nothing more than a coward. Roaring, Zai Tianyang sped up in his rush. If you go, you can only watch, powerless to do anything. I will still go. I would rather die than be a coward. Watching Zai Tianyang chasing Ninger, Zhuo Fan tightened his fists and muttered, Who said I'm any different? Then he turned around and entered the forest. In a cave 15 minutes later, Zhuo Fan set up a concealing array, then drew an odd pattern on the ground and placed spirit stones at key locations. Then he spread diamond sand across the entire pattern. Finally, his hand flashed, and a pair of wings with streaks of lightning across them appeared in the center of this pattern. This was a secret body refining art from the 9 Serenities secret records. It would make use of demon transformation art to refine the ingredients and transform one's flesh into diamond body. This was far crueler than the wraith art he gave to Captain Pang. Wraith art was a cultivation method for humans to refine their body, but this secret art treated the human body as a medium in refining it just like a demonic treasure. The results were outstanding, of course, invincible and tough as steel. But the process was excruciating, 1,000 times more miserable than the wraith art. To imagine, this process involved cutting one's body inch by painful inch if one wanted to refine his body with ingredients suited for demonic treasures. It was so dreadful that one would find death a blessing. In the past, before he even found the 9 Serenities' secret records, Zhuo Fan wouldn't train in wraith art even if he had it. Because it was too inhuman, too brutal, despite how much strength it gave back, and here he was using a method even more excruciating and dangerous. But this was also the only way he could improve his strength in a short time. If he wasn't stronger than that cunning and deceitful insidious demon, his success wasn't certain. With his heart at peace, his eyes filled with resolve, Zhuo Fan made a hand sign. In an instant, the strange pattern shined brightly and started to churn. As it spun, the diamond sand trickled towards a small vortex in the center and entered inside the cross-legged body of Zhuo Fan. Speck by diamond speck sunk into Zhuo Fan's body as the array turned. The sand acted like minute needles boring through his muscles and drawing blood. All diamond sand that touched him pierced his body, with no exception. 1 or 2 specks he could bear, but 100, 1,000. They were beginning to take its toll on him, and all this while he could only gnash his teeth. When the number reached millions, his whole body was soaked in blood. And this blood all came from pin-sized holes left behind by the diamond speck, akin to a very fine sieve. Looking closely, the diamond sand had ruined his muscles, turning them to mush. And this was only the beginning, yet the pain was so excruciating, worse than any torture, death by 1,000 cuts, quite literally. However, to speed up his increase in power, Zhuo Fan still bore through it with clenched teeth, unwilling to utter even a grunt. Fine sweat ran over his body, testament to the pain. Even the mighty demonic emperor was reduced to a shivering mess. Ah, then, Zhuo Fan's eyes narrowed as he cried out, unable to endure another million specks piercing his skin and muscles. He yelled and howled from the pain, but knew he had to stop and soon closed his mouth shut. In his heart he knew this body-refining method would remake his entire body, from the inside out, replacing his all with diamond sand. So much so he would become an unbreakable diamond. But before that, he would have to endure this agony, yet this was just the flesh. It would soon be followed by the bones and inner organs. Zhuo Fan could only grit his teeth and follow through. If not for wishing to save Xianxia, he wouldn't have chosen this path no matter how amazing the result. Too cruel. The strange array never stopped revolving, feeding Zhuo Fan's body with diamond sand. After 2 long hours, his muscles were broken down to the last fragment, then the diamond sand continued on to pierce his bones. Zhuo Fan shook from the pain and a grunt escaped his clenched teeth. Yelling would only amplify his suffering until he could take it no more. To avoid his demise, he forced his mouth shut while his eyes bulged out of his blanched face. Damn rotten decrepit senile 9 Serenities Emperor. How the hell did you come up with this insane refining method? The moment the diamond sand entered his bones, Zhuo Fan spasmed. He couldn't even speak, so he cursed the first demon emperor of ages past in his mind. Had the demon emperor heard, his reply would be mockery. Did I push your hand? Who lied to you that a meager thing like you can succeed? Suddenly, Zhuo Fan's body seized up 1 second and laid limp the next. His skeleton was turned to dust in that instant. Such pain filled his eyes with tears, but he was now nothing more than a pile of mush, and all he could do was lie paralyzed on the ground. There's also the last step. Body remodeling. Zhuo Fan was sweating bullets as he sucked in a deep breath through gritted teeth. With his skeleton nothing more than a bone meal, the diamond sand burrowed deep into his organs. It didn't wait to stick to them like before, but punched right through them. Zhuo Fan's organs were shredded, and he was spewing blood mixed with flesh again and again. The blood seeped into the strange array and fused with it. Yet despite the constant flow of blood and the sweat and the pain, his lips curled into a sinister grin. I have prevailed, now only body remodeling is left. Zhuo Fan's smile was wiped away by a wail. It didn't go as planned. The diamond sand finished with his organs and went for his brain. Be it a mortal or cultivator, the brain was the weakest for both, as it was the place that housed one's soul. Diamond sand was raining havoc in his very soul, his mind. Once it was gone, his death would be final. He felt as if thousands of ghosts were assailing him, a pain down to the bottom of his core. It was thousands of times crueler than the first step, but unlike before, when his mind was clear, the pain was now eating away at his consciousness. His soul was slowly being spent and was on the verge of shattering. And all he could do was wait for his demise. Ha ha ha, for me, the grand demonic emperor, to die at my own hands. How ironic. If only I knew how wretched this body-refining method was. Zhuo Fan chastised himself as he grew weaker. All this while, the strange array never stopped spinning, and the remaining diamond sand on it was soaked in his blood, but he was too far gone to even care. He was hanging by a thread, one that thinned by the second. What struck him as odd was, why did he have to refine his body through this hellish torture? I must have gone insane. Why did I use this deviant secret art? Zhuo Fan shut his eyes with a trace of regret as his life flashed before his eyes. Since he became a demonic cultivator, he overcame all trials bearing his path, becoming the leader of the 8 emperors in the sacred domain, the first below a saint, a path filled with glory. Then he gained the 9 Serenities secret records, bringing him further joy, and though his disciples sold him out, he was reborn in the Luo clan as a steward. Then he met Zai Tianyang and Zhu Ningxiang. Zhu Fan's lips cracked open, muttering her name in his delirium. Then he flashed his eyes open and yelled, Ninger. He recalled why he chose this path. It was to save her. At that moment, the strange array spun faster and faster, encompassing everything in it in arcane power. Zhuo Fan's forehead released a blue flame that turned into tendrils and enveloped his body, to ultimately fuse into the strange array. Zhuo Fan had no clue that this secret body-refining method didn't just refine the body, but one's spirit too. Its purpose was to unearth all potential of a cultivator. If only the body was refined through this method, failure was guaranteed and death was a certainty. When Zhuo Fan was nearing death, he woke up to the reason behind his choice, and his will to live thrummed with power. It resonated with his soul and allowed the blue flame in his body to fuse with the array. It was only now that this strange array displayed its true power. The array spun so fast that it kicked up a storm. It soon turned blue from the flame and melted the diamond sand before fusing it with Zhuo Fan's blood, flowing throughout his body. Golden blood soothed Zhuo Fan's lacerated body, breathing life into his muscles, bones, and organs. The blue flame returned to his forehead once the process was complete and fused with his soul. Zhuo Fan kept his eyes closed, unaware of what happened outside. He only felt his life renewing and growing with every passing moment. All this time, Blood Infant sat cross-legged in his dantian. Seeing the incoming golden blood, it was filled with ecstasy, swallowing as much as it could. It began to alternate between fading in and out of reality to ultimately turn into a golden infant. It opened its eyes and they flashed golden, filled with vigor. Thanks to the blue flame, the pair of wings which streaked with lightning were turned into liquid and entered Zhuo Fan. In a blink, an image of a pair of blue wings appeared on his back with lightning flashing across them. Deep in the All-Beast mountain range, high up a mountain, laid a cave, and from this cave came the shocked voice of a strong middle-aged man. How come the azure flame I gave the kid is now gone? Did he remove it, or did he take control over it? Then laughter came from deep within the cave. Ha ha ha, I must be getting old. For that kid to erase it is already impossible, so how could he refine it? Not even a saint stage expert can receive my azure flame. Although, if he really removed it, how will I find him? Well, he'll come around sooner or later, ha ha ha. The man laughed in his cave, and the sound traveled for hundreds of miles, but there was no spiritual beast around to hear it.